our leader on the leaderboard right now is going to be something to watch out for. But here we go. Everybody getting ready, trying to get to the best position possible. And already we got a fight going on.
Ooh, Spider already forces out that combo breaker. The F1 from Cheryl has been used. Spider does drop down. Thinks by potentially opening up that trove, but wants to keep on top of T225. He knows that he has the upper hand. He knows that the other Cheryl does not have that combo breaker. As long as he can keep T225 on the ropes, he's not getting the opportunity to find loot either. But now that T225 has broken the ankles, it does seem like we're going to be getting a little bit of a loot pickup first. T225 opening a trove, finds a blue armor reset, and that is now going to be able to force out that combo breaker coming through once again. Spider goes for the overhold, goes for the uppercut connection onto T225 before he can scale rush, finds the parry. There's the one hit of damage into the scale rush follow through, into the swap up onto those fists, and that is T225 taken down.
T225, one of these front runners, we were really going to see them make a mark early in this one, but that's got to be demoralizing start already on the day. But meanwhile, we got Verse facing off against Lipo. Lipo going to get parried early in this one, has the rare armor, unfortunately, already getting drained. Verse does seem to have the upper hand, as now it is going to be a chase down. Lipo trying to buy a little bit of space right now, unable to get enough distance away from Verse, who is going to lose a bit of health there, clipped there by the longer weapon in the form of that staff. And now CDY is looking at third party, coming in with the epic armor. Verse now maybe in trouble. Hookshot coming out. CDY actually going to have their hook broken up by Verse, who's now going to be the one trying to get on top of Lipo. Wants to get the reset before maybe going on the turn around, as now Lipo up in corner is finding it hard to get the movement that they want. Rounding the corner, CDY continuing to give chase. Lipo at about half health, no armor to speak of, doesn't get the scale dash off the wall. Lipo trying to navigate away from both of these, maybe trying to corral Verse to face off against CDY and get to safety, but it doesn't seem like anybody is relenting on taking down this low player, as now Verse is going to be able to round the corner, get up on the high ground. And while CDY is stumbling in the back line, I don't think that Lipo is long for this world, as now he's juggled over to CDY.
There's the V1 though! Lipo, by taking so much damage and also being able to kite around both the walls underneath the cave and his combo breaker to cut the ankles, was able to build up that V1, and that is going to reset the fight. The next 18 seconds are going to be Lipo spamming out those stun dazzles that he can heal himself back up. And it's going to be Verse and CDY backing off so they don't get caught out into that CC. Lipo now with his health bar intact, but unfortunately missing all of that armor, goes for that immediate RMB from the staff, which was something actually that we saw Verse incredibly wary of, to the point that he actually invested his combo breaker into avoiding out of that purple last hit of focus, as Spider has sensed that something's amiss, and you can see him crouching down, not wanting to be spotted, potentially going to be coming through with something like a bow shot to snipe away this kill.
Yeah, already this trio has been dragging it out for so long. It's kind of a sunk cost fallacy. You need to find a kill pretty soon, otherwise someone is going to come in and mop it up, and you get absolutely nothing for it. Lipo still managing to stay alive, finally going to be popped here, as now it will be Spider joining into the fight, backing off a little bit. CDY Verse having to contend with one another. Great parry there. CDY in a scramble situation, going to be able to pull out the shields right here, right now, but Spider still on the backside of this fight is looking for an entrance point. May try to steal this kill away. Verse in trouble, gonna drop down below, gets the hook shot. CDY now goes to follow Verse on one touch right now with the armor available. Spider is going to be the one giving chase, and I do wonder if CDY is just going to use this opportunity to lick his wounds.
Yeah, looks like he's gonna go for some of that reset, as like you said, the great armor reset allows Verse the chance of being able to try and disengage, but that armor is gone and that health bar is still lacking, and Spider gets to close up the distance with those dual blades just before he can find that disengagement. And with that kill now alerting CDY, he knows that the elimination has been removed, and he just has to try and book it as quickly as possible. Remember, everybody in that fight invested their ultimates except Spider, so in the second stage of this fight, CDY, if he gets tracked down by this other Sheol, is going to be at a disadvantage.
Spider deciding to disengage for the time being, is still coming out with those 2 kills and is in a very comfortable position, as much of that early game that we often talk about as being pivotal is kind of already fading, as now Xiao is going to be meeting up with Spider here, both deciding to just shop and handshake this.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be positioning really quickly. We don't want to be burning our ultimates. Realm of Yang is going to be spawning on up. You need Soul Jades to be able to come on through, or potentially you buy yourself a little bit of better gear coming on out from those Rift Dealers as well. No one wants to take a fight and burn their ultimate unnecessarily. As unfortunately, we can see that Verse Still trying to find that mid-recovery position. PXT just shadowing him behind, has that purple armor, has the blue weapon to scale up into his Kylan ultimate if he does take a Realm of Yang fight. As we can see that TTV5 has tried to turn his round around by respawning on up over into Skygaze in the hopes that this has not been looted as heavily as the other areas of the map, as we can potentially see the floating pile also being invested in. Given that this is a nighttime map of Padoria, those floating piles will come alongside fireflies spawning with them too.
Yeah, Firefly is going to be a real accelerant for the curse of this game, especially with so many defining ultimates built up across the map. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen, as we are going to get this first Realm of Yang spawning on up. Spider already getting primo position to dive in.
Yeah, this is why we saw Spider hold on to his ultimate. Does have one purple soldier. Stacks a lot of damage reduction coming on for 2v5. Still up over by Celestial Barge, has to make sure that he does not get spotted by Wolves PXT, because that is a Realm of Yang spawned directly next to that Sheol, and PXT, he's not going to be leaving that circle. He wants to be able to hold on to his Yang pass, so if he gets pressured by another player, he does not lose that rage regeneration when he crosses into that portal. Sees the position that TD5 had left behind, knows that there can potentially be legendary troves inside that barge, so it goes for a potential upgrade, as Asia also going to be crouching underneath those cliffs, not wanting to get spotted out, wanting to scout a little bit of lay of the land to see whether he's going to get contested or not. But I don't even believe we have a Moonbeam being dropped onto one of those portals to block off the entrances either. Everybody currently is scrapping it out over here instead.
Yep, right inside of the treasure trove, we're going to see who manages to come in on top, or if anybody just decides to handshake for the loot right now. T225 going to round the corner, see CDY on top of them. Both of them just going to do the little hop of friendship before launching back in. This is a very awkward position, navigating and trying to figure out what they want to do with Realm of Yang. Also very important. And so we got Star all the way inside of the shadow.
Has someone griefed him into just running away with Thunder Coins? They do respawn eventually, but it definitely slows down your progress. You can see as well that floating pile has been looted, the Fireflies picked up. No red Volpine essence, even though Star is floating around Arcadia. Someone else has either broken that Jade and picked it up already, or Star was getting so low by that zone tick and wasn't able to find the Thunder Coins that he had to just abandon that position. So now we head into this first Realm of Yang. Spider goes aerial, snipes out the position, potentially behind those back pillars with the pistol shot, starts chipping away some of that armor, forces out the combo breaker from the Kylan too. PXT with that overhold now goes into the ultimate. We can see Spider invests the F1 to clear up the spacing, gives him the opportunity of activating his ultimate, and now if that Kylan staggers him, he will be able to try and get him into this chokehold, and now it becomes a kite path coming on through with those pillars coming into play, and Spider is more than happy to play that game every single time the Kylan skill rushes. Spider gets to follow with the pistol, and he is not missing.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful stuff coming through from Spider, just playing the war of attrition, now actually going to find the access point. PXT unable to fire off anything in response right now. Double parry, double blue focus, and that's going to be Spider slicing and dicing his way to an easy victory here on the first Realm of Yang. As now we move on over to see how Asia is going to be facing off against Frostivus here. Frostivus, unfortunately, getting this exchange to start things off. Now in a very difficult position, only 50% so far on the rage. Might be able to clip a little bit of damage away from Asia out here, but a big parry into a disarm, that's going to be enough to clean it up. And our front runner on the league is going to continue the reign of terror.
Yeah, Frostivus got clipped by the Lonnie V2 when he was up in the air, which means that he would not have been able to dodge it. Had to invest the combo breaker off of the back of that one. And Asia knows he has the upper hand in tempo and can just push aggressively. Frostivus was back against this wall. Just has to try and take that fight that Asia was able to force. And now with that, that's two very fast Realm of Yang fight wins for both Asia and Spider. Two Vermilion Birdsmite coming into play alongside now Lipo. So 521 was also able to take his Realm of Yang as well. PXT going up onto Celestial Barge. T225 still in this area. Goes incredibly high, and we can see PXT with those Hallies trying to catch on to T225 with the RMB. Everyone who's got Yang depletion, to PXT being one of those players, he's going to have to try and take a fight, but he cannot afford to show his hand. If these players understand that he has Yang depletion, they are just going to time out when that depletion burns on down. Asia and Spider now fighting head to head, which is something that we don't really see when both of these players have buffs. You want to be able to take full advantage of the duration. You're both coming in with legendary weapons too. You can see that Asia has his equipped. Spider only now swaps to it so that he can get all of this follow-up damage when he gets that chokehold coming on out off of the back of it, and we can see that Lanny just does not want any part of this fight, because now the players with Yang Depletion come in looking for the third party.
Yeah, now we got a real big melee on our hands here. Asia already, without their armor available, is just trying to get the heck out of dodge. Might not be able to, as we're going to get double hook shotted. Spider right back on top of their foe, just going to win that in an instant, as PXT is trying to find some kind of value up against the most dominant player in the lobby right now in the form of Spider. Manages to get a skill rush, trying to find a way to fall back. Lipo with full armor, going to be able to stagger Spider, who's now just getting beamed down by Shaw, who's also going to find an angle onto Lipo and company, now finally descending out of the ultimate. This should be enough for Shaw to just be juggled down. But meanwhile, on the backside of this fight, CDY has entered the fray. Frostifus is here, desperate to try to bust out of that debuff. And now we got PXT on top of everybody as well. SHA with nowhere to go, just going to get blown up on the backline. PXT also unable to survive this flurry of blows, as we are going to get Frostifus retreating back around the corner. 1-1 is going to be here as well. Verse just looking for a way out of this tight corridor. Hookshot going to be able to get them a little bit of space, but the fadeaway shot means that Jean Yuan is able to continue the chase down. Verse in a lot of trouble here. Almost gets staggered across the corner now. Jean Yuan with another good solid contact is going to deplete the entirety of Verse's armor, and now this is a desperate scramble situation for the representative of Weibo. Jean Yuan go to take a little bit of velocity and verticality here. Verse is going to mirror it. And now with the stand, Verse might be able to turn this back around. Has the common armor swap. Jean Yuan actually in a lot of trouble now. Going to try to drop down across this pillar, and now Verse with a slight high ground advantage, looking to dive across this tree. Gets a little bit caught up. Lipo also here might be able to third party, and Jean Yuan now trying to kill up is going to be in trouble, as Spider has also re-entered the fray.
Yeah, Jean Yuan gets to play around the stone pillar. He does not have Yang Depletion, so there's no timer counting down, which is why he's more than happy stretching out this fight, especially because we saw the next realm of Yang spawning on up. You can see that Asia is posted on over onto that left side, which is the reason that these players have left this Kylan alone currently. It is not worth the overinvestment of utilities and ultimates when so many of these players are looking to all in you and punish if you overplay your hand. Really good usage of the terrain, very good weapon in the back pocket too, and we can see that, oh, there we go, FPX's star. It took a couple of attempts, but Volpine Essence has been picked up for that Liam, and he is going to be able to have that Soldier to carry on through either into this next Realm of Yang or potentially into this end game, as we can see that Spider has not gone into a Realm of Yang. He's going to be occupying a Spirit Well instead currently. WBG's Verse, unfortunately, looks like he might have kited into this passage, hoping to find a little bit of loot to recover his game, and he slides by, and oh my goodness, what a smash and grab. Instantly grabs that purple armor and is off on his merry way.
I'm kind of surprised that Spider let that happen. Was it just a matter of not seeing, or what was the call there? As you look at the opportunity cost, Spider, I thought, front computer here in the lobby, deciding to not actually go for a Realm of Yang. Instead, we are going to take a look here at Wufong, trying to get in versus Star, and already got great contact to try to break through that armor. Star, though, try to be aggressive, going to drop that ultimate. Big ball. Wufong now go to lose armor of their own, taking back towards the air. Ultimate coming out. I think they may have this just by virtue of popping the V second. That being said, Star doing a great job finding coverage across these pillars. Wufong just trying to use the remainder of this duration as best that they can. Also healing up, just firing off the spikes.
He's out of stamina.
Corner. Oh, Wufong in a little bit of trouble here. Gonna try to play at range with a pistol. Star gets the sprawl, and now the representative TE might be in trouble.
Yeah, Wufong goes for the uppercut catch into grapple kick, into charge RMB, into drop down horizontal with the jump for horizontal. Doesn't manage to find the damage. Charges up the focus to be able to clank the skirmish coming on through from Star. And we get to see the proc of that Volpine Essence, and Wufong now has to find another opening. Yet again, he was expecting that to be able to win him the gambit. Now he's using the Dragon-like Might, turns his attention into spacing, throws out the RMB, goes for the drop down off of the F1, but but the jump horizontals coming up from this longsword are coming in incredibly quickly. Tap dodges through the charge vertical and finds the drop down attack. Wu Fong lives the engagement, forces the proc of the Volpain Essence, and by the skin of his teeth, survives the aftermath. What a play coming through from the Syra.
Absolutely absurd play on a knife's edge, but Wu Fong is going to come out on top, walking away with the White Tiger's prowess. As we're going to see the same scene there for T225. I think notably, ALL did drop in that 1v1 on the other realm of Yang, which is a pretty interesting thing to see here. You would kind of expect the front runner to be the front runner even in this situation, but Aizhao going to have to try to find a new angle.
Yeah, he does still have that legendary staff. And he does get to come back into the game with his ultimate charged on up. SS1 CDY is currently just a little bit ahead of him if he can get a little bit of scouting information to come on through. As it does look like we might be getting a final zone located near Skygaze Cove with all of that lava additional damage coming into play. CDY has been spotted. Asia now begins the hunt. Again, he can't overplay his hand. If he chases this too relentlessly, it becomes very obvious that he is the Lani in this lobby with Yang depletion. Unfortunately, I do believe he's the only Lani currently. Oh no, wait, Frostifus is still around. And he is on Lani as well. But these players know that the Lani lost that realm of Yang fight, and Star is now under the process of getting caught out. The F is going to be invested from the Lani, dodging away from that longsword extension, and that provides the opportunity with the spacing out from the other Lani for Wu Fong to come on through. Remember, HR does not need the elimination, he just needs the Soul Bloom. So if he can actually let Wu Fong find this kill into the Liam and slip in and grab that bloom before the Syra can find it, he is sitting incredibly pretty. As that is going to be the V2, comes on through from Star, finds the grab, goes for the skirmish with Wu Fong, still held over his shoulder. He's just trying to buy himself as much time and distance between all of these players as he possibly can, but he's got Yang depletion too. Gets another grab, this time onto T25, might just yeet him immediately into that zone damage coming on out. The fan in his hand is allowing these skill rushes to come on through incredibly quickly, but unfortunately his health bar is getting lower and lower, and Spider is going to be able to steal him down. Question is, did anyone manage to grab that Soul Bloom? Have we been able to spot out Aizhao? The leaderboard currently is not showing it. He's too high up. Yes, he was! He stole away the Master of Illusions Lani, slipped in and grabbed the Soul Bloom before Spider could pick it on up, and Aizhao was in the clear.
That's very good for Asia, especially in a car crash situation like this, where everybody's beginning to get concentrated up as the shadow begins to shrink, and in-kind people just trying to chase one another down. You have that fear of missing out on that top cut. Spider, of course, wanting to make a statement here in the first game, wants to climb that ladder, get past that 13th mark there. And I think that they will be able to if they keep this brilliant run going. The thing is, in order to gain as many points as possible, they do want to continue to build their advantage, play aggressively. But here we are. Flashback to what got Asia into that sticky situation to begin with here. Trying to navigate with that legendary staff, about half armor for the time being. Scale rushing, trying to buy a little bit of space. T225, though, keeping on the pressure with the dual blades. Big parry right there. Asia just going to clink here. And that blue is going to be able to charge up and get T225 all of Aizhao's armor, and now it's just going to be a combo. Aizhao has to use Breaker very quickly in this exchange and just gets completely blown out with this trade at low health. Becomes a scramble situation. T225 has all the time in the world to now just play the waiting game and knock out this ALL representative in the realm of Yang.
Yeah, the second that he forces Aizhao so low in that health, as well as the fact that that Shale ultimate still has 2 more staggers to be able to proc into that CC, forces him up into that sky. He's throwing out the catch ball. He's trying to get a little bit of damage, knockback, and also heal coming up from the connection from the Shale, but because he's out in that open space, he's not getting to play around the cover of pillars, so the musket swap comes on through from T225, and from there, it is just a matter of time. T225 also doing a very good job of denying the option selections that Aizhao was wanting wanting to be able to use. You saw him kite over towards those pillars, looking to set up a skill rush, and immediately 2-5 with the uppercut was able to find the interruption before that skill rush could be charged up to blue, with that hyper armor preventing any form of stagger from a light attack, as we can see that Wufong running around still with the Dragon-like Might, has a lot of legendary soldiers. I believe one of them is actually Mortal Defiance coming on out from this Syra, as everyone is going to be contesting over towards that Spirit Well. Who's going to be able to pick up this loot? There's the Dragon-like immediately clipping onto TD5, going to be forcing him back. TDY moving into position, threatening the fan RMBs coming on out from the focus hits. It's going to be exchanged with another player who's also taking advantage of how quickly that attack comes on through, but you have to be so careful now in the multi-way fights, because that parry window is not just forward-facing, it is 360, as we can see from TV5 getting immediately punished. If you throw a focus strike and another player is able to find the parry, they can still turn it. They don't even have to go for the parry animation punishment onto you. But TV5 will be able to pick up that Spirit Well, will be able to get another ultimate on the field as well, which is why he's committed into his V1 already coming on out. And now we're going to be seeing all of the players understanding that the lobby is playing to that Sheol's tempo, and everyone scrambles away, hoping that they're not the player close enough to get turned onto by the Sheol. As here comes TD5 with the jump horizontals, just absolutely mincing down the Cyrus HP. Already forces out the combo break coming through from the F1. Lipo, sliver of health, just manages to pop the V1 in time, but that zone is going to be pushing him out. He's having to spam out all of these stun dazzles. He's got the verticality, at least, with the Syra float movement coming in through in the ultimate, but the second that this is done, you can see TV5 has not spaced out entirely. He is going to be right on top of this Syra, looking for that punishment follow through.
Good movement by Lipo. A little bit of a juke here, going to get drained as they are within the shadow now. But I think that they have to just take this gamble. They're in too desperate of a position. They're just hoping that by taking time away from this fight, everybody's going to get engaged with everybody else. But as soon as they re-enter there, they are given no respite whatsoever and are knocked out as we move down to very few people left in this one. This is going to be the deciding battle for sure. Frostivus looking for an angle. We do have the Bane's Breath being dropped. 5 minutes left in this lobby, and everybody is just trying to negotiate if they want to take high ground or low ground for this next fight.
Everyone's still having to play to the tempo of 2v5 as well. Spider checks the Invis Bush. Ooh, almost gets checked by Bane's Breath, comes on through, says that he's the big bad boss. We did cut over very briefly to Frostivus' POV because he was actually the one who claimed the kill on Lipo with a pistol shot coming on out, taking him to 3 eliminations. So it's still very much up in the air who could take overall MVP. It really is going to come down to that kill score multiplier for the last player standing, or potentially denying it if we do get a draw in that heal off situation. So many of these players are on heroes that can deny that heal off. You can see to just under a minute White Tiger's Paras to run out for TW5, so he's still up around running, trying to force a fight. Has to be careful that he doesn't go too aggressive, because the players can potentially turn onto him, understanding he is the biggest threat and the enemy of my enemy is absolutely my friend. As TW5 gets hit by the combo breaker coming on through from that Kylan into the uppercut, the potential for that grapple kick, and you can see, just like I said, he's overstepped the boundaries. The players have seen it, he's crossed the line, and just like piranhas, they've sensed blood in that water, and that trying to take the Sheol down. The attention has now turned on to Zhuan Yuan, though. He's had to use his ultimate. He's out of the 4 seconds of immortality, and he's going lower and lower, and another pistol shot steal comes on through, this time from Asia off on the sidelines, taking him up to 3 eliminations as well.
Yeah, Axiao's just playing with the house money right now. That big point lead we talked about overall, and now just picking up kill after kill. Wufong had to descend, used that Syra ultimate earlier, and now just trying to play on the run. TT25 is going to cut off their escape path, and now Syra sent sprawling at about half health. No armor to speak of, and I think this is going to be the end of the road to game number 1 for this TE representative. Once again, it's Axiao just peppering shots from above, and a great vantage point for the time being. TT25 trying to come in to find the killing blow. Wufong diving right back into the corner, looking for a lucky parry, can't find it, and that will be up another pickup. My goodness, T225 on a warpath right now, trying to keep that drive going. Gonna spot Frostivus across the corner here, wants to get a shop up before the shadow closes too deeply. Now walking back in, looking for their next opponent.
I tell you what, Wufong is not going to be happy about that. He was on Syra and he had Mortal Defiance. which procced when he was getting lobbied. He was in such a good position to come on through and win that heal-off situation. And that's exactly what he was setting himself up for. But unfortunately, these players, they understand Syra is one of those heroes that they cannot allow to survive in this lobby long enough, because just like Temmie, she is such a pain. If you start a fight and you leave her alone, she gets to come in with that third party. She gets to stun dazzle both of the two of you. So if you're stacked a little bit too close to your opponent, you both get hit by the same stun dazzle into that microwave laser beam. So you can see that Frostivus, I believe, also might have Immortal Defiance of his own too. So keep an eye for that one, giving him a little bit of a lifeline to survive. He's also not the only Lani currently in play as well. So Wufang did make himself much easier of a target to be able to pick out, considering he was the only Syra left. So if he disappeared and was able to break the ankles in that chase, he had no costume change available to come on through. As it looks now like all of these players, because they have so many tools to be able to win the heal-off situation, are more than content for everybody to just carve a little slice of pie for themselves in terms of that positioning and wait for the zone to force them into a fight instead, so that we go to that heal-off situation and it becomes a matter of who hits their ultimate at the correct time.
Yeah, Frostivus trying to noodle Asia, who's just trying to buy that space. CDY, no armor available, could just be the next target here. We'll be able to get back up to Epic, and still hiding out on this rock up top will actually get the recovery that they wanted. Now, across the rest of the map, we still have that very, very high ground. Asia, Frostivus continuing to contest over that one. Meanwhile, low ground is going to be Spider, T225, and Verse alongside CDY, who's still around the corner. As the shadow continues to close, though, especially this top side is definitely going to get contested here. Frostivus is eventually going to be forced to face the fears of moving in against Asia. Verse also having the slightly lower ground, could be aggressive on T225, trying to find a single poke that sprints all the way back across the field that is still open. The shadow continues.
That was the combo break, though. That's why Verse is having to schmoove as much as he is. He showed off that he has Phantom Step, and he was also, by being pressured that close to potentially being knocked into that zone, had to burn the combo break, and you can see that that's still on cooldown, which these players are going to punish into the zone. He gets sent into the range swaps coming on through. The ultimate gets forced just so he gets a little bit of gold frame focus coming on through. Can he find a grab to connect onto one of these players, or is he just going to go down? Zone closes on up. Everyone takes to the skies. Everyone who's left on that low ground is going to start getting staggered on out by these Lani V2s coming on out. Frostivus throws out the trick ball. Asia doing the exact same thing, but that's going to stagger out the shadows. The chokehold is going to be able to connect onto multiple players, and it's Spider coming on through with the eliminations, but it's Frostivus who wins the heal-off situation. And off of the back of that, with the kill score multiplier, I think that close Frostivus for MVP.
Absolutely. Frostivus able to clutch it out at the very end. What a wild way to close out the first game of solos on the day. Everybody in that heal-off situation just spread the damage pretty evenly, but honestly, Frostivus found the smallest amount of space there as the shadow closed on in, and that was a nation here. Diving into game number 2. And already Asia getting up to that purple armor, could be on the hunt.
Yeah, that is purple armor right there, and he has left it out in the open, potentially trying to bait a player into walking into him. Spider, in the meantime, has already got CDY so incredibly low. This Lani has not been able to find armor. Spider's doing a very good job, too, corralling him away from any of the insides of that buildings where a trove could have been open to look for a armor reset. And off of the back of just light attacks coming through from that spear, Spider will be able to once again find the first blood of this lobby. Now that he's found that one, it is going to be a space away from PXT so that he can look to loot on up and potentially find a blue armor or better before he tries to take a fight against a Mirror, who already has that blue armor equipped. As T225 now, we can see in the process of getting disengaged on that half health bar missing means that he's been able to find a grey armor reset, as well as force the F2. The combo breaker from that Justina is down. Asia swaps over towards the cannon to be able to anticipate the damage distance of where T225 is going to be disengaging on off 2. And he's still playing the sidelines of this fight, more than happy for this other player to do 95% of the work so he can get 100% of the value.
Yeah, Asia basically getting a get out jail free card there. Did have to use the combo breaker. Doesn't matter. Already has it back up. And now it's just a matter of a Lipo and T225 being in a bit of a prisoner's dilemma here. Asia just going to come in, try to mop this one up. And Lipo It's about to have their armor broken already, their health not in a great position here. T225 going to use this opportunity to try to find a bit of recovery. Will be able to build that common armor back up, but Asia still has quite a bit of their bar left available. Going to use this time to try to give chase. Lipo in quite a bit of trouble, trading on top of the carriage, may actually be able to get themselves to a position where they are going to be the ones healing up, especially as T225 tries to re-enter the fray. Honestly, didn't go as well for Asia as we were expecting here, as now the player with the purple armor just has to walk away.
He does not want to potentially give up that purple armor, so he's going to space on out, go for a little bit of a heal back through, potentially find a better weapon as well. As we're going to head back over and have a look at Spider and PXT. This time around, they are going to be taking that fight since Spider's find that blue. Scale Rush finds the opening, but Spider finds the parry, which is a far better way to continue that fight and offer the back of that damage. PXT is not going to want to keep this fight going until he's found one reset. Both of the players finding that fan 1 versus 1, and Spider yet again finds another parry. This time around, converts into that RMB from the fan throw, and PXT now up against the ropes. Swaps to the fist blades, goes for a scale rush, looking to disengage. Spider swaps immediately onto the longsword to have a better chase down technique, and is now going to try and look to either toothpick away or with the jump LMBs. Claps on top of PXT, swaps over to that spear, so it has a little bit of longer reach, just clipping into that trail before she can back away, and the 1-2 light attack stagger guarantee is going to be able to back Spider the kill.
That brutal double parry at the start of the fight, that is demoralizing. Showed just how good Spider is, reading PXT like a book. Now we got T225 channeling that ultimate. Asia going to lose their armor as well as half their health, trying to contend here. And that's what happens when you can't find coverage versus Syra's. Now Asia's got around the corner, look for recovery. T225 going to take a little bit of time off as well to try to heal back up. And now scaling the tower, not wanting to continue this any longer now that the rage has been depleted. Asia lying in wait, trying to find an angle back up against this opponent for a bit of revenge and a bit of value.
Yeah, he did cancel the ultimate, so he has retained 40% rage shot. T225 just goes for a little bit of a wall hang, wants the information of whether or not that Justina is going to be trying to commit in, given the fact that both of them did burn their ultimate. We are going to see XY, though, showing off that legendary longsword, I believe. Yeah, there it is. So he has been able to get on top of Salvation Podium, go underneath, figure out the pattern that the arrows are directed, avoid the phony roller, and put all of the pillars into their correct forward-facing directions, all uninterrupted, to get his hands on this one. And not only is this a really good start for him, this is a really good denial for a lot of other heroes in this lobby, because as we talked about, a lot of these heroes convert the weapon rarity that they have into the damage that their ultimates can output. Tumultuous is not one of them. So he's denying a lot of value potential for things like that Syra.
Overall, this has been quite an interesting start to the game. We've had a few early kills, but for the most part, it's a matter of looting up, building value where you can. That is going to be T225 on Moonbane Charm. CDY also getting some credits to get one too.
He's not able to use it though. He's bought out of it. You saw him try and go for the animation cast, but T225 is just a little bit faster because there can only be one Moonbane AoE in play.
Right now, things definitely have calmed down. Have a little bit of time before Realm of Yang is going to spawn on up, and because of that, this is going to be probably the last little bit of peace and quiet we're going to get before the action really begins. T225, after that blazing start early, searching for kills, searching for value, and PXT, having respawned, is looking for a new lease on life here. May have to try to just take some risks in order to get to a better position than where they were before. Spider absolutely decimating their ability to get to a comfortable amount of loot early game. As Zhang Yuan didn't really get the memo about playing it peacefully. SHA going to try to meet up with them as Realm of Yang is going to spawn up. Zhang Yuan, of course, with that legendary longsword already in their possession. XY trying to trade hard here. SHA just doesn't have the sauce to keep this fight going. Now beat down to the low ground. No health really left available for them. XY going to be happy to give chase even as the Realm of Yang is behind them.
Ooh.
Quick kill. They hop back up. They're getting the pass and they're getting on in.
Oh, XY. What a beautiful continuation of the combo off of the verticality that the terrain afforded. That was so clean. Forces the combo breaker, then can go all in for that commitment with the aerials. and then even commits the ultimate. There's no punishment as well for the fact that he committed that ultimate to be able to guarantee the kill with the swap over to the ranged weapon because he's got his Yang parts. So the second that he goes through that Yang portal, he gets his ultimate all the way built back on up. So really good stuff coming on through from XY. He's going to be very happy about that one. We did see previously as well the shield that Spider was currently tracking down. CDY did grab, or rather PXT did grab that bounty scroll so that Spider could not potentially use it to track down his location. He is out of there so that Spider does not get the reverse bounty option by being a little bit closer and inverting that distance as XY with his legendary longsword takes to the skies up against TE's Wufong, goes for the swap on over to the pistol, doesn't find an opening shot, goes for that scale rush, forces Wufong into spacing all the way back out, and that's where the pistol gets to come into play. Goes for the jump up onto that pillar before he can get jumped off of it by Wufong. This time around, though, he's not going to be able to make that same play. The light attacks off of the scale rush is coming on through, forces immediately that ultimate to come on out, avoids the first grab coming on through with the combo breaker of that F1 before committing on through with that V3, and now the Wisps are being used to deny any position that Wufong could play around that pillar, forces him to get zoned out of the ultimate into the Wisp regrab into the pistol shot follow through with the up from that LMB focus slash of the longsword. What a clean realm of Yang fight for Artemi.
Oh, yep. Great start here, of course. And now we are going to move over to Asia versus CDY, which is looking equally clean for our front runner. Oh, Lord. You are beginning to see the real division in terms of these players trying to make the most out of the day. Asia in a great position to continue to push forward and forge a lead for himself. We'll just have to try to leverage this Realm of Yang buff as best as they can, as that's going to be ASC with the Vermilion Bird's Might. And, of course, Asia is going to follow suit and pick up the same buff.
We got a TOD coming in through from Asia with the extension from the Justina V1. We got such a good read from XY, just utilizing that longsword and the threat of potentially getting put into the invisibles from inside that Realm of Yang with the carousel extension to force the combo break out early, steps back into that Wisp, gets to swap up into the pistols and chip all of that health left down. Really clean stuff coming through from them. TW5 is also going to be able to win out their Realm of Yang. We might be able to see how that one played all night. But given the fact that it's a Syra, I'm guessing it was a red stamina bar into a lot of stun dazzle into a microwave beam.
You know what? And we don't even need to see the replay. I think he read it perfectly there, Moxie. But right now,
I looked into my crystal ball, which, you know, when I interrupt it with a beam, also coincidentally stuns out my opponents.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as we are in this downtime between Realm of Yangs now, the question is, who is going to be pulling the trigger first to try to get the depletion off of them? Across the map first, just traversing great distances, trying to find anybody to really farm up against. As right now, I think that with the way that solos seem to be at least going, in my opinion, the fights that you oftentimes see in trios where people just get the buff out of Realm of Yang and they say, hey, we get a freebie fight, aren't really as apparent here. There's a lot of risk of being third party, getting run down. We can see just how chaotic these fights get to be and the amount of disruption that comes from. But that being said, Asia happy to try to take it versus CDY right now, getting the better of the exchange. Combo breaker going to be utilized, buying a little bit of space. CDY without any armor available. Asia happy to continue to play at range with the staff. Ball comes out. CDY It's going to get melted. It manages to jump back, buy a bit more time, but T225 is at their back, sandwiching them. This is a tough position for all these fighters, as CDY is going to be able to get the armor back up, but unfortunately T225 is just too clean with the deep exchanges at distance. Now Asia and company are going to give chase, trying to find the last little bit of damage versus this Lonnie, who manages to get up onto the high ground. The problem is it's pretty awkward trying to navigate under that roof. That could be enough. T225 going to claim high ground. Asia, much the same. CDY hiding off on the side. T225 sees them, but that gives enough time for the Lonnie to heal back up. CDY with a new lease on life, continuing to just try to dodge left, right, center. Aijao, though, gonna cough their escape path, and now as we do see the double touch coming through, CDY is trying to find a way to sustain. Once again, dodges back around the corner. This is basically just the Lonnie release trailer, as now it's gonna be T225 trying to reset aggression. Still full bar on armor. CDY has lived for quite a while. well, but I think that the run has come to an end here. Verse now in the fray, trying to give chase alongside everybody else to try to pick off this kill.
This is getting dangerous though, because TDD5 is about to run out of a million birds mode. The other players who had it have since reset. So you can definitely see that CDY is getting a little bit of an opportunity, given the fact that TD5 can't be directly behind this line. He gets another cycle of combo break. Finally goes down. TD5 has had enough of the chase. Just swaps over to the cannon to have that wider AoE splash, and we can see that he will be able to get that reset. It's not going to be forced into throwing out his ultimate either, so he can now try and posture up for this next Realm of Yang fight to come on through. Spider in the interim was actually able to take down XY, however the Temi did still have access to the Melon Betsmite, so he is still going to have access to play into this lobby as Wufong goes for the Liam V2, gets staggered out by that Shayol. Will, after the block has been run through, be able to complete the grab though, and now he has to space out of this fight because of the third and fourth party potentials coming on out. No one wants to let the Shayol get staggered and then get turned on too, as Wufong gets lower and lower and lower until he eventually falls, and the back-to-back PXC takes full advantage of those players stacked on top of the body with that Soul Limb attemption grab to get both of them in the block counter. Unfortunately, just does not have the damage to be able to convert it into an elimination, and his health bar was so low that by Star showing up and crashing that party, turning it into a proper ballroom blitz, the Shayol is taken down, and we posture back on up for second Realm of Yang.
Yeah, Wufong, PXT eliminated alongside CDY. Beginning to see those top competitors gird their loins, get ready for the end game. But first, we got these Realm of Yangs to go through. This will really be deciding who the top Apex Predators are going to be in the lobby. Aizhao getting in there versus XY. This is the matchup I was looking for in this lobby. Both of these guys in great condition right now. Legendary staff available for Aizhao to use. Jean-Yuan, of course, has been riding this longsword to multiple victories, taken to the sky as the Realm of Yang opens up. Aizhao trying to answer right back. Pistol coming out. Jean-Yuan trying to use this to just wear down Aizhao, who's going to try to find coverage across the far side. Unfortunately, going to get clipped by two. Jean-Yuan going to take a bit of damage, but still has the health lead. Aizhao just able to do anything versus this cannon. This is kind of a disaster. XY just continues to play keep away, finding a sweep in, manages to dodge past the counter. Aizhao in a lot of trouble now as we do see the Temple's ultimate being used. XY going to retreat back into the Sandstorm, using that as coverage to once again play the range game. Cannon available. Aizhao just trying to dodge the splash damage, just too much for the time being. Looking for a time to recover. Jumps on top. XY happy to just take to the air, and now with it just steam combo breaker activated, it's just a matter of mopping up the last little bit of damage, and that was way more one-sided than I ever expected it to be. But now we got T225 versus Spider.
Yeah, TD5 with that Syra V1, Spider trying to outlive it, goes for the Lonnie combo break in the form of that F1, now gets that V2 activation. Syra still holding on to the F1, gets the drop down, goes for the vertical with that spear, as Spider tries to slide on in and prevent the Syra from putting herself up onto that pillar to open up the options of a potential scale rush. You can see Spider once again chasing, trying to make sure that TD5 does not get to charge up that scale rush. However, in that time, both of the ultimates have since worn out. With 25 seconds left, it's very real that we could see a timeout coming on through. Spider ducks underneath in case the horizontal swing comes on out from that spear, gets hit by the Hexa Harmony, throws out the R&Bs from the Honkshot back to back, forces the Syra to space and out, thinks that he's the opening for that musket swap, but that means that he's going to get caught up into the jump coming on out from that spear. Spider now an absolute sliver of HP, tries to perfect dodge away from the hits, but does get clipped as he spaces out by TD5 swapping over onto that spear to create even more distance. And with the tempo change up from that weapon swap, TD5 will be able to take that fight coming on through. And since we have a little bit of downtime, I really want to properly revisit that fight that went down between XY and Asia, because it benefited XY from the beginning. Justina struggles into the tumult, and XY and Asia knew this. That's why he was so reluctant to commit his ultimate, because if he used that Justina ultimate first, XY would be able to return with the tumult ultimate, just locking him down fully. And then we got the mind game games. XY with the pistol makes the Justina think that it's safe to be able to go behind the pillar, that XY only has a ranged weapon of a pistol rather than that AoE coverage that goes all the way through the pillar onto the player behind it, which is why the Justina thinks, okay, I can space out, I can stick behind the pillar, I can wait this out to be done, and then the cannon swap comes through, and then the pressure comes out, and it forces the Justina roll, and then XY gets to return with that Simultaneous ultimate fully locking down. Really smart stuff coming through from XY. From the beginning to the middle, he's played this game perfectly, and he just keeps doing it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, did have to commit the ultimate to kill Lipo there, but that cannon has been putting in work. We're talking about the legendary longsword a lot, but honestly, it's also that ability to swap between ranged weapons that got him the victory versus Aizhao and even more. Now the question is, can Aizhao get out of the sticky situation? Needs to try to find a way out of depletion. Spider, though, happy to try and navigate this fight as well. Aizhao with slight high ground advantage here, trying to find approach. Lonnie's going to be able to get the teleport away. Aizhao follows through. Spider about to lose armor. Will be dropped here. Now Spider tries to give chase once again. Star into the mix means that both of these fighters with slightly lower health or armor don't want to overcommit anything. Aizhao getting down the low ground. T225 is now here. Aizhao having to use combo breaker, rounds the corner, immediately see Star once again. T225, good contact versus Aizhao, gonna deplete that armor. Aizhao once again trying to hide on up. Spider taking to the top of the hut here, actually maybe the most comfortable with the current vantage point in this fight, as Aizhao is just unable to find a way out between these fighters, gets up to the escape hatch, cuts across as well. Great movement, but Zhang Yuan is now once again descending upon the fight, and I don't think Aizhao wants to deal with this Hemilch anymore. Now caught up, melted there in the middle of the river. T225 and company gonna give chase. Spider in a dangerous position, has to armor swap over to Common for the time being, just in hopes of trying to stay alive, but now we got multiple members with the full gold sets bearing down upon SR's representative's position. It's on the far side of the fight that has been split from everybody else. Aizhao once again has the Justina F available, but unfortunately without any rage to try to activate an ultimate, Star's just going to hand off aggro as that TT25 is back in this one. I think this is going to be the end of the road for the ALL representative. Here comes John Juan coming in, wanting a little bit of the kill as well. Aizhao in trouble, going to be knocked out for the time being. Verse and company now approaching one another. Temple going to be activated. XY going to use this to divide the battleground. Descending back inside of the Sandstorm here to try to keep Spider at bay. Looking for a little bit of time to charge back up. T225 and Spider may meet in river here, wanting to loot this corpse. Spider gonna get that breathing room that they were looking for here, as everybody realizes what's at stake. These are the top competitors. A lost fight here could lead to full elimination from this game number 2. Spider, though, looking for a new entry point. XY trying to catch them out. Spider having to dash away, burning that F to start this one off. First in a little bit of trouble, being bared down upon, but John Juan has lost their armor. Could be in a scary position for the first time in this entire game number 2. Trying to round the corner. Spider gonna follow. Does not want to give this Temple any more space, as there's the juggle and there's the knockout. Spider walks away from this one, able to rebuild their armor. We got somebody in the foreground there, didn't quite see who, but now once again in a position where they just got to scale rush by a bit of verticality. He's actually going to give chase and find Burst. Burst has the ultimate available. Spider crosses around the corner. Here comes the follow through. 3 members trying to deal with the laser being fired in their direction. Burst trying to buy as much space and as much healing as they can during this time.
Oh, this is really unfortunate for Spider. 3 players have dropped, and he's still got Yang depletion. He hasn't been able to get a single soul bloom, and he's down to a minute. The ultimate comes on out. He's forced another Syra V1 to come on through, and you can see him just having to try and kite path away in the hopes of just burning through T25's ultimate and then getting to re-engage into this fight when it's going to be down. Moonbane is also going to be cutting out a lot of the space of this map. We can see in the meantime, Spider is still taking this fight against T25. Star is getting this other Syra low and low. WBG's verse is going to fall. The consequences of Spider being able to force another Syra ultimate being felt now. The butterfly effect flexes it, swings. Can Spider get out of the net though? No! He's unfortunately caught in a web of his own machinations with that Yang depletion, just forcing him to have to keep up the pressure, keep up that aggression, even when his ultimate is down. And he's just not able to win the long-term war of attrition against a Syra who every single time that F1 cycles back becomes such a high threat. We're down to a 1 versus 1. It's not even going to be a brawl over the spirit world. This lobby has been absolutely decimated. The V2 comes on out from Star. The TOD off of the staggers, punishing the fact that T25 had to invest so much previously in keeping up with Spider, and the Lani is going to be able to get the last block.
Absolutely. It's another game of Spider. The big overperformance relative to where he currently sits in the standings. Really trying to work as the front runner, but it's going to be YZG. Very happy with the performance as well in this one. And I gotta say, coming out of this game, really, it's a matter of inches. It's a matter of second-to-second exchanges this time around.
To drop a weapon, utility, or Riptide coins. So that is why it's referred to as money spot, because you can bank up very quickly a lot of spare change in the pocket to be able to, in a model will, pick your hands up on some gear or pick your hands up on a Moonbane charm to be able to cordon off one of those entrances to a Realm of Yang. As we can see, Spider yet again is the one involved in first fight.
I don't know how he manages to keep finding people as well as really good arm to start things off. Spider gonna freeze on up, and I think he's gonna get the better of this trade. Wufong gonna use the combo breaker, unfortunately. Just has nowhere to go at such low life. It's actually be CDY who I think is gonna yoink that kill to start things off. Spider, though, happy to just continue this fight. Double axe is available. Trying to duel it out versus CDY, who has lost their armor during that last exchange. Now sent on the run. Spider happy to continue the chase here. Now, activating ultimate, can be able to use that mobility to once again get on top of their foe. CDY trying to break the combo, manages to get the body slam down. Spider, though, going to be able to clean this one up. SHA on top of them now, able to get the stagger. Spider has to just drop the F immediately, and now is sent on the run without the armor available to really try to take it to a player who so far hasn't been able to show shine here in any of these games so far. SHA wants to take down one of the front runners early in this one and make a statement.
Yeah, Spider, unfortunately, Sean knows that he does not have this Justina ultimate because he rolled up just as Spider was getting that last dash connecting onto his opponent. Turns around, throws out the RMB from those halberds, gets the 1-2 yet again onto Shah, throws it out this time around, but Shah is ready and finds that parry, and Spider outside of that F2 cancels it, tries to get the zoning away from Shah, but will be followed on up by the Temi coming on through with their own dual halberds to use the distance and catch on before he can fully disengage out of that hitbox. Frostfist now. Great armor into the top level of this building. So many players in this area. Asia has spotted out that he doesn't have to start a fight. He can just swap over to a pulse sword and go for a scale rush to be able to clip that last little bit of damage and confirm that kill, especially given the fact that it's a Syra, but that Syra has already burned the F1, which means no potential stun dazzle, so Asia can get much more aggressive and close up this distance. Forbidden Seal is also potentially going to come into play, which does mean that everyone's not going to be able to use that ult. Asia has prematurely popped his, will be able to get the throw onto the Syra before the Forbidden Seal takes him out of that V2, finds the parry as well to be able to get that last hit of damage, chunking on down, but he's still not going to confirm this kill because so many players are in the area. Goes for the swap over to the pulse, or comes on through with the RMB, one massive smash of damage, and LiFo is sent packing to the nearest soul altar.
You know, I prefer when there's very little macro and people are just slugging it out early in this one. SHA looking to go 2 for 2, trying to deal it out with Star, who's on the run right now. Has the fan available, trying to buy a little bit of space. Fun plus Phoenix's representative, though, in a little bit of trouble as, unfortunately, right now, they just don't have enough time to heal up. So SHA is going to get right back on top of them. Star will be able to get an armor swap. It's still not enough, as now another player is going to descend upon the fight. SHA around the corner now. Star just going to pop Syra ultimate, use this to get as much healing as they possibly can, and actually hiding out here, they are going to be able to almost heal back up to full. Frostivus now wants to dive in, have a little bit of a go, has full armor, full health. Star going to be hounded by SHA as once again with the shadow rolling in, this is going to be a tight one. Nobody really wants to dedicate too hard. The fact that everybody knows that so many people are in this area right now means that anything that you take that goes long can lead to another massive cluster, and we want to see who's preparing for Realm of Yang.
Yeah, Star has been able to get another F1 to come through. Searches the trope, does not strike gold nor blue. He's still stuck with this grey armor that he's been saddled with since we last saw him getting chased around Winery. Now on the back foot, does have that fan, will be able to complete the skill rushes, but BB's Frostivus is full sending this one. He knows the Syra doesn't have the ultimate into Gorge. Star is going to go in the hopes of just going so deep into this zone that Frostivus decides to back on off, but he is not giving up this chase anytime soon. Star circles back around Chip. Round and round we go. Frostivus finally gets one hit of damage, but unfortunately the terrain grieves him. He gets caught on the rock. Oh no, can he get out of this position, or is he gonna die to Zotic? Oh no, I think Frostivus is stuck.
Oh, well, that's awful. I'm so sorry, Frostivus. Manages to get unstuck in time, but is denied the kill. Is going to have to just eat some berries. And, you know, we'll scrub that from the record. Frostivus, you know, winning that game number 1, would love to be able to pick up another one. Almost gets prematurely denied the opportunity there with that deep run into the storm. CDY going to get that Boonbane Charm, using that Bane's Breath early as a zoning tool. And across the board, we are going to see people begin to scatter a little bit here, spread out, see which rumbling gangs that they want to try to engage with. CDY PXT in the same area for CDY, like I said, having used that charm early, is happy to just try to play King of the Castle here. Look upon the area that he has created a lot of chaos in. And from there, we'll try to lock down for a jump on in a lot of value.
Yeah, has that Moonbane, so he's not going to be contested. It forces all of these other players to have to go to the other entrances. Spider, still trying to find that recovery. We saw him get taken down early after having found that first elimination. He's only got blue armor now. Looks like he might just try and full send it. Currently, he doesn't have the Yang Pass too, so he has to make sure that he doesn't burn his ultimate. No, the other players go outside. They go too far away from that Yang, and unfortunately it takes the ticket and passes it right over to Spider, but Spider, now losing that blue armor, is forced out of the zone and past the parcel. The pass goes over to PXT once more. Holds onto this halberd, throws out the R&B, is just creating a little bit of zoning away from everybody so that he can try and utilize this combo breaker and the ultimate to buy himself the safe space. 17 seconds left before he can put himself into this portal. And remember, he will get his ultimate back as long as he gets to hold on to that Yang Pass, and he is literally just going to sit in the middle and make sure, given the fact that there's Justina's in the area too, they're likely not going to want to come into the portal after him, as we can have a look and see Wu Fong taking T225 out of that Yang area and immediately chasing down onto him, senses that blood in the water, comes on through with the commitment of that Justina V1, and will be able to find the elimination, which I believe actually fully blocks T225 to run up from this lobby. And so you can see that CDY, unimpeded by the Moonbeam that he dropped, is already through that portal. Everyone else very much content to wait it out. No one wants to go in to this realm, especially given the fact that the Justinas were previously fighting a Temi. They know that the matchup does not favor them if they go in and match up against that player that they had to battle pass first.
Well, XY is going to take this versus CDY. We're going to see exactly how this lobby feeds on out, as right now what I'm looking for is XY to just try to dominate again. Didn't have as explosive of a start as we did in game number 2, but XY once again, I think very much is someone to watch out for. CDY though, happy to play aggressive, trying to get right up in the face of this pulse, or not wanting to allow for this ASE representative to use its spacing capabilities, and therefore CDY kind of running roughshod. We got to swap over to sword, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. XY has already lost their armor. CDY trying to trade up close, won't be able to get the knockdown. XY popping that ultimate, the B1 that we haven't seen so far. Magic Carpet Ride, trying to buy a little bit of space, trying to buy a bit of harassment off orb, but it's not enough. XY having to play at distance for the time being, looking for the launch back in. CDY still has a little bit of armor left available for them. XY gonna time out on their ultimate, no rage yet available, and this is going to be XY dashing back, trying to find a combo breaker on his sliver of health. It is not going to be enough, as now we shift over to the next Rumble Yang.
Yeah, it's going to be Lipo going head-to-head against PXT. Fan R&B comes on through. Commitment too. Onto the follow-up. 1, 2, 3. Lipo now stays on that pillar just a little bit too long. Gets clipped off of it immediately. PXT yet again cancels out of the focus. Forces the Siren space up into the sky off of that F1, but Combo Breaker has now been burned. And PXT looks for the uppercut into RMV from that drop. And Lipo gets scooped up and sent home, as PXT will be able to claim a Vermilion Bird's Might and a legendary longsword, as Cyrus not having the greatest showing inside the realm of Yanks today.
Yeah, not at all. But to be fair, Temult is just so dominant, it seems like, particularly now with the confidence that the Temis have in firing off ultimates, using that as a zoning tool and playing around it. We've been seeing them get quite a lot of value out of these situations. And in kind, this Vermilion Bird's Might could be enough for this representative of the Wolves to really take it to a big fight really early on. CDY going to be the one to duel with them. This is a classic. We got the freebies. Let's go for it. Nobody else around now. CDUI just wants to make a statement. PXT hasn't been able to get a ward in edgewise, much less blow back. Gonna try to pop here. has their F available once again. CDY trying to navigate outside of the sandstorm, will be able to do so without too much stagger. And PXT trying to dash around, diving right back into the protected barrier. CDY stunned right at the edge. Doesn't do enough though, as still PXT is hanging on at half health, trying to find a way out of this one, knowing that, especially with people in the area who are very much willing to try to remove their yang depletion by any means necessary, this could be a disaster. As now going down incredibly low, CDY will land the killing blow versus here on the edge though.
Yeah, and he has managed to run CDY into another player, and CDY committed ultimate. Unfortunately, not going to be able to find the full turf pick, but that does force the combo breaking out from that Lani. CDY fishing for that parry. Will not be able to get the opening that he's looking for. The staff comes on out, burst with the staggers. CDY finds the parry, now goes into the jump LMBs, but Lipo with the pulse of scale rush absolutely steamrolls into that fight. Gets the last hit of damage, unfortunately for him, is denied the soul bloom, which is the prize he was truly after.
All right, well, this is going to be Lipole trying to now get to safety, knowing that they're up against quite a few players, all stacking up inside of the gorge right now. Ajiao trying to trade in the air up here versus, I'm not exactly sure who that was over there in the corner. Moving too fast for me to read. It looks like it's actually Spider. And unfortunately, this is just not looking like his game. Doing a good job with a bit of a trade back. Ajiao happy to just hand off the aggro, though, as now XY wants our opportunity versus the SR fighter. Now, Frostivus firing away with the bow and arrow at range. Ajiao actually going to get caught by Temi there, and that means that it's a bit more in the way of free fire that we're going to be seeing out of Frostivus, who is once again just trying to play this game slow. Came away with the victory, game number 1, and now for second game running, may just be at 0 kills.
Oh boy, Spider utilizes the Justina V1, runs directly past the second realm of Yang Portal 2, so the players who were scaled are going to be looking at that, and then kites over to the Forbidden Seal to activate it and deny ultimates from all involved. And now as well, he's been able to get himself very close to Celestra, which is the terrain and placement of all Naraka maps. It is the home of the ankle break currently. Spider prematurely rings the bell too, so when he disappears into these buildings, the other players won't be able to hit it to figure out where his location is going to be. Goes for that F2, but unfortunately Asia, with the anticipation of that break, is able to come on through with the skill rush confirm into the V2 grab, and Spider goes into the zone and out of the lobby. Good news for him, though, he might be taking Asia with him as Asia stands still. He has 10 seconds almost of Vermilion Birds Might running out. He did not give up the fight. He made sure to die before the buff burned out so that it could still activate and let him respawn into this lobby, as opposed to trying to live the fight and potentially getting taken down when the buff had since run through. XY now going for the Lani F1. Shah also going to be invested in the Temi F1 for both of these players to break out. And unfortunately for XI, because he didn't get that soul bloom off of Spider, he gets taken down by Yang depletion.
Very different texture to this game. A lot of different fighters coming into their own here, as we are going to see Wufang try to get this last solid hit versus Star, and there's the elimination. Now Lipo, though, going to try to hand off, get a bit of damage, has been riding this pole sword to great value so far and looking to do so for another kill. Wufang with a little clink there, going to try to find a scale rush off the HUD, gets around the corner. And now we're inside Realm of Gang as well, as this is going to be Aijiao versus Frostivus. Frostivus unable to get a whole lot in the way of momentum, mostly just been looting as they are at 0 kills. Aijiao doing a really good job of just depleting that initial flurry that Frostivus has available. And now with the ultimate activated, Aijiao just needs one more hit, and this is all going to be over before it even began. Frostivus in a lot of trouble, gets the repel off of the longsword's ranged attack there to stop the full approach, but it's not enough. Dual blade plus pistol means that Asia is in a great position to just pepper shots away. Frostivus cannot win a war of attrition at such low health, is going to drop in Realm of Gang. We're back to Lipo and Wufang.
Yeah, you saw that little bit of a head tilt. That's because of frustration from playing up against Phantom Step. He tried. Frostivus threw out the V2, and Asia Phantom Step iframed up. Just the way that you can iframe out of that Viper ultimate activation. It's so stylish, it's so frustrating if you're against it. As CDY now still duking it out against PXT. 40 seconds left. PXT eating charge vertical coming through from that longsword. Eating another charge vertical from that longsword. Having to invest the F1 from that Temi to put himself upwards of the jump horizontals coming on out from CDY's longsword follow through off of that flop state. And now PXT is just having to play around the cannons. What's behind door number 1? Unfortunately, on the left side, it was death. And a win for CDY to walk away with a buff and a legendary katana too.
I'll be the first one to say it. What was that splash damage, CDY? All the way arcing across the corner, able to get themselves into a really good position for the late game. Lipo's going to camp out around a Spirit Well. And now with 2 White Tiger prowesses on the board, this is kind of that first situation where you can see the game end, not necessarily prematurely, but get to a point where really the battle lines have been drawn. You have your very well-defined front runners. Second Realm of Yang over with. Frostivus and company needing another angle back into this one. Still at 0 points right now. This representative of BBE wants to follow up that victory in game number 1 with just a little bit more value so far. Unable to get a whole on the way of points here or in game 2.
I'm pretty sure Frostbus actually saw that other player with Yang Depletion in soul form, which is why he's headed over towards that soul altar so they can take a fight without potentially getting third partied. Yeah, there it is. Frostbus and Wolves PXT fighting on an out, but PXT, oh, the grapple kick into jump LMB resets, and then the ultimate from the Smolch. Frostbus will avoid it by the activation gold focus coming in through from that Liam V2. Now, Frost PXT gets closer towards that zone, has been able to survive as well. The threat of the Re-Wisp coming on out from PXT being able to send out that CC. And now that the Tumult ultimate is done, Frostbus not being able to find the upper hand, does get parried, will not lose the weapon, invest the Liam F1 to keep a hold of it, and we go back into neutral. The overhold comes on through from Frostbus, gets the upper hand. PXT not feeling safe, puts himself up into the sky, looking for the drop down RMB, but he commits to the focus, and Frostbus yet again is able to find the parry. The drop down comes on through. Frostbus with the jump LMBs into RMB from that engraving, and Frostivus walks away with the win.
We got another fight on our hands. This one could turn into a 3-way very quickly here. Lipo already forced fused the Syra ultimate to buy a bit of space and a little bit of health back. Asia want to give chase. Here comes CDY on the back end as well. Gonna get the hook shot. Lipo in trouble, trying to use the RMB for a little bit of vertical distance. Won't be able to get a whole lot though. Stagger for the time being, dashing away. Going to be able to launch himself off of the cliff face wall, but it might not be enough. Asia still very much on top of him. CDY as well, just trying to descend from above. As now we got a 4th player in this one as well. Wufong hungry for a kill. Lipo still trying to buy a little bit of space, only on rare armor right now, not in a great position to take this into the long game. May need to just dig their heels in and try to answer right back. SHA, Frostivus now all joining up, and we got a jamboree with 9 minutes still left on the clock here. CDY finds contact. Lipo not long for this world, escaping up the log run, will be able to get to the high ground, but it's not enough. Frostivus is now going to be the one giving chase. Lipo can't get through a window. Sliver of health left available. Is going to be able to scale rush onto the roof, but it's not enough. Splash damage from another cannon will do it for the time being. CDY down on the low ground, just going to use this time to farm up once more before a re-engage.
Lipo, he had the running shoes, but unfortunately for him, the Achilles heel is the Tumult Wisp. He gets caught right up on the tail end of that scale rush, and immediately CDY with the conversion over towards the cannon gets the conversion into the elimination. Something to note is that CDY has 5 eliminations, currently matching Alliance's Asia, 5 for 5 currently. And now that the players with Yang Depletion have either been knocked out of this lobby or have been cleansed of that depletion debuff, we might see things start to slow down, especially since a Rift Dealer is still in play. CDY, I believe that might be Stormstride. We'll have to wait and see if he takes the fight, if he suddenly starts having the buff come through from Zeus, deciding to aid a helping hand. Not normal for the mythological god, but definitely unfair advantage, one can say, unless you grief yourself out of a parry animation.
We'll have to see for sure on that one. It looks like as that big fight didn't turn into just the game ender, as was kind of the case in the second game, we're going to have a little bit of time by which everybody's just getting to their maximum strength, trying to define the battle lines. We are probably going to get the final circle here, and from there, I really am interested to see how players like Frostivus, who maybe haven't gotten all the kills that they really wanted to, are going to fare in this dicey situation. Frostivus, also Submarine Gamer 1, got the victory off of it, but this time around, I think that is going to be a little bit more difficult, just given the fact that we have players pushing aggression to a new definition here. SHA in particular, someone who didn't have a great first 2 games, got off to an early kill versus Spider and has been riding that ever since.
Oh, well, we're also seeing these players have to be very cognizant of the Moonbane. That is currently slap bang, unfortunately positioned over where the Spirit Well is going to spawn up. Neither the Moonbane is off of the table. It is going to be Spirit Well, all hands on deck. Who is going to be taking this buff? Who's going to be able to get that ult cycle double time? As Asia currently playing rewind in terms of that armor bar. He's taking so much hits. Blistering Edge absolutely melting away. Phantom Step coming in clutch to be able to keep him away from hitting that fire tick debuff, which would mean that 50% healing effectiveness is now cut. Stormstride was in play. We just saw the lightning come on through as Frostivus has also been chased out. But Asia healed back on up, comes on through with hook form on those legendary halberds. That is going to be a lot of these players backing on off, having to respect the Jades that this Liam has currently access to. CDY mistimes the parry. Asia immediately punishes. Xiao also looking for an overcommitment coming on through, as now Asia gets hit by the horizontal swing from the pole sword. Everyone trying to chunk down that legendary armor. Asia gets hit by the fire tick. This is enough for GG Xiao to feel confident to go for the full engagement, and Asia so far away from that Spirit Well goes for that V2. Has to be able to find a grab, but he's out of grab opportunities and he is out of the lobby. He overplayed his hand. He tried to take that Spirit Well a little bit too aggressively, and everybody else in the lobby saw an opportunity to take an incredibly overgeared player down and absorb all of the loot left behind.
Yeah, credit to Frostivus for knowing when to tap out after losing the armor the first time. Unfortunately, it was that hanging on that unfortunately cost Asia the chance to go deeper on into this lobby. Frostivus actually in a lot of trouble as well, going to be eliminated here. CDY and Wufong are both now going to duel right in the midst of the Moonbane. Very difficult position for everybody involved, as we are just going to get a scatter to safety, and I think one more re-engage to decide this lobby in the final 3 players.
Chat goes back on over to see whether or not he can pick up any resources before moving into position. Justina, Sheol, Tammy. It feels like the start of a joke. Who's going to be the punchline? As Shano trying to create a little bit of pressure onto Wufong, chipping away at this armor. Goes for the combo break. Commits that F1, is keeping this Justina at an arm's length. He knows if it goes down to an ult off, he is going to have the upper hand against this Justina, being able to stop Wufong from dashing directly on top of him. SS1, however, does have the current long-term advantage, given the fact that his name is attached to that buff up on the top right corner, which means that his is the armor reset that will be granted to him, and only his. He is the only player who can go back and pick up that legendary armor that has been left behind. Mystic Might as well going to be providing damage reduction, as well as giving him all of the intel of where these 2 other players are going to be coming from. Stormstride and the jump LMB is attempted from that longsword combo breaker also going to be used. Chaz spacing one out with a Tumultuous F1. Doesn't want to get caught in a fight, understanding that the Justina, if he sees a Tumult and a Sheol fighting, is going to turn onto the Temi, who is the bigger threat to that Justina getting to hit that win condition, and Shah on the back foot has to find an opportunity to look for a heal or do enough damage to turn the attention onto CDY instead.
God needs trying to find a way to slow this fight down. Has the rage available to pop the ultimate. Will be able to do so. Second half health, though, with their back to the storm. Just trying to make sure that they have enough distance from Wufong. But they're going to be caught by the rage attack from the longsword. And now they're forced deep inside of the shadow. CDY happy to play the zoning right now. Playing out of range. Has the cannon fire to rain down absolute hell upon SHA. Shot in a lot of trouble now. Just going to get sandwiched between the 2 of them. And it looks like CDY, Wufong, and Handshake that they want to just take this duel. CDY going to be able to break the combo. SHA over top of the hut right now. Now Wufong is going to hand off the aggro, looking for an angle back in. SHA, good defense right now, is managing to get a bit of armor back to try to continue this fight for as long as they possibly can. Unfortunately, they got no rebuy on their F4.
Double parry!
But they get the double parry. They get the space. Wufong doesn't want to go back in with such low armor. CDY happy to continue to play at range, looking for a reapproach. We'll get the hook shot, and this might be end of the road. SHA going to be thrown back into the shadows, manages to get the verticality necessary to buy a bit more space. Big knockdown on the Wufong, who has to use ult. CDY recovered a little bit of health, but SHA feels like it's confident enough to go back in. SHA up onto the tree looking for scale rush. Will be denied that opportunity, but good movement means they're going to get across the shadow inside of the hut. That gives them a bit more time to heal back up. They got the armor swap going. CDY CDY on the backside of this one, looking to recover here. Wufang is going to be sent their direction, and somehow, someway, this Emerald is just still hanging on, and in fact, is looking better than ever in this one. SHA finally going to lose that armor. CDY on top of them, desperate to get this kill to bring things back to even now, but unfortunately, they aren't able to get everything without Wufang also getting the reapproach. Finally, down goes the Temi, but is it enough? CDY trying to dodge the way out of this one, uses the freeze early, trying to look for the re-engage. Wufang in a good position here with the double halberd, but now as this is a decisive 1v1 with plenty of time inside of the shadow, the question is, will Wufang be able to use this mobility to their advantage? There's the cross-up to start things off. Now CDY sends sprawling into the storm, and that's enough. TE walks away with it.
You have to feel for Sha. You have to feel for Sha. He got 2 double parries, and then he's trying to space out, right? He understands that the Shale and the Justina are fighting. Unfortunately for him, if we were playing on old Shale rules, right? If when the Shale got staggered, she immediately had to throw out that fight where they are outnumbered, very quickly rinsed of their rebirth in that first zone.
Yeah, but it's just a risk spawning there to begin with. We've seen people doggedly chase kills early on in this one, and so far, Sha already picking up the common armor. Looks like they're getting the best of Asia, who's immediately just going to have to go on the run here. And like I said, this is what happens. Even if you want to play it passively, you can still just get popped in an instant here. Sha make a quick work off the back of the Chucks, and that'll be first blood.
Yeah, Sha was able to pick up the trove on Lake and get all of the loot, and unfortunately for Asia, the next place that he could go to open up, potentially get either a weapon or an armor, was so far away. He ate so much damage when the stamina just did not carry him out of the melee hitboxes. Frostfist now goes for the LMB from the fist plates, keeps up the pressure onto Verse, goes for the 1-2. Now looks for the upper to stop that scale rush, and you can see that Verse keeps getting interrupted again and again and again. He has not been able to space away. Frostibus chasing down with the RMB, keeps up the pressure, goes for the grapple. Doesn't manage to spot out where exactly this player that he was chasing has gone on to. And in the meantime, Verse, with that distance that he was able to, has been able to take himself a great armor reset. Frostivus anticipates Verse potentially committing to that launch. Will invest that combo breaker from the F1. Both of those players are going to back on off as we head inside to a scrap over between CDY and PXT. PXT getting taken down by the nunchucks. CDY gets the soul bloom, but not quite out of safety just yet as Sha on the sidelines. If that fight had gone any longer, he 100% would have looked for the third party.
Yeah, it looks like we're definitely tending to quite a series of fights, as now we're going to be looking at Star versus XY. XY already disarmed, and I think Star is happy to just completely clean this one up, doing so against one of the front runners here in this 6-game series. XY going to be knocked down, going to be looking for a soul altar. In the meantime, though, T225 has encroached upon the battlefield as well. Given the fact that they're just on common armor, they're just going to be looting up for the time being. Star doing the same, it seems like.
With the swaps, longsword into pulsar, back to back. He got it through twice with the toothpick into extension. And we'll be able to find the kill before TV5 could close up that space and look for the third party. This is Sha taking the fight that he was looking for previously. He's got the purple weapon. He's looking for the Hung Sword. RMB will be able to find it. Forces Wufong up into the air off of that Simulch F1. That's exactly what he wanted, because when the Temi is up in the air, he's not going to be able to dodge out of that V2 once the golden frame runs out. And Sha off to a very steady start. 3 eliminations picked up right off of the rip for him.
All right, well, across the way, we are going to get continued aggression. Spiders found an epic armor, decided that's enough, that they're going to be able to try to match up versus Sha. Sha, who got off to a really good start, is now going to be the one forced out on a run, I think. Half health taken away in a single blow. Spider had to go for the re-engage. Sha, realizing that the writing's on the wall, tries to use their F as an escape tool. They get tagged one more time. Spider cleans it up and does so in great time for the Realm Gang.
Yeah, there's still plenty of time, though, for Sha to be able to make sure that he can kite over to a path either for a floating pile recovery or go into an area of the zone where these players have not since looted up. We're going to see Star utilize the Heavenly Wheel to just put himself and catapult himself a little bit further. Not the full distance that you can travel, but the Rock has a better POV, especially given the fact that we can see a lot of those players gathering towards, just as I talked about, the floating part, which is going to be a beacon for all of these players who had to burn their rebirth charms and come back in with all of the gray scale, gray armor, gray weapons, which is not a position that you want to be in if you want to have any chance of winning into those Realm of Yang fights.
As it currently stands in this little bit of downtime that we have before we do in fact engage upon Realm of Yang and we get people staking out position, I do kind of want to look at who's already picked up the kills versus who's not. And yet again, we're seeing kind of a shift from what we were getting earlier on. Star in particular, somebody who's just been unable to find a lot of value and a lot of late game plays in the previous 3 games. Looks to be in good position in this one. Still needs to find better armor and equipment though. But if they're able to do so, I could see them jumping in around with Yang this time around, being able to find themselves a buff, an advantage, and a snowball rolling in their favor.
Yeah, quite literally, since they're playing that Justina. But they might just have been able to find that snowball, because the forecast is in, and it's a Yang essence. It is that Volpine essence that gets to come on through. We just saw him there, depositing those Thunder Coins in, being able to break the soldiers and grab what's in the middle of it. Spider Knight gonna be grabbing himself a Moonbane to cover over one of those entrances to a Realm of Yang. So anyone who's in this area is going to have to be on their merry way to back on out the positions of these other entrances. Spider more than happy to put himself into taking this fight. So you can see that Asia, Blue Nunchucks, is still looking to lead up on the outskirts of Imperium. Is drifted over towards PXT. Swaps over to that pole sword, just threatening that space in case PXT decides to try and commit into this fight. Neither of them want to actually take the engagement. Neither of them want to force their ultimates. They just want to chip and try and figure out the rarity of what each other have.
Yeah, PXT's body language made it look like he didn't want to take the fight, and then of course we saw the clip from Asia, and it looked like all of a sudden PXT was like, what the hell, man? Now we do have an actual duel between CDY and T225 here as the Realm of Yang is going to spawn up. Both of them want to jockey for position to get that Yang pass. Currently it's T225 is going to hand it off now to the other side. Across the way, CDY getting good damage. T225 is just going to have to back off here, respect the zone, hand away that pass.
Oh, he got juggled. That's so unfortunate. 225 had the upper hand. He had the Yang pass, and then the staff uppercut juggled him right outside of that portal area, and as a result, the pass got automatically passed over to his opponent. Still, we can see that this Yang is not passage free currently. PXT, understanding that there is going to be a lot of pressure, actually commits that Lani VT. You can see the trick ball just bouncing around all over the place currently, taking advantage of the fight that's going on around that portal placement, just trying to be a little bit more chaotic, not allowing these players to just sit back and try and take that fight or even look for a reset. Does manage to find one hit, which will lead into the follow-through from that fan. Swaps over to the bow shot as well. Has to be careful that he doesn't chase this down too hard, though, since he does need to be able to go through that portal and buy himself back that V2, as we can see that in the inside, PDY is waiting to figure out who exactly this Liam is going to be facing.
Deciding to go clockwise with his runs this time. I wonder if that's going to mean anything. Lipo really dancing on the razor's edge here. No armor, half health, decides to go for the entry. Will be facing off against CDY and needs to win this as well, in my opinion.
It's going to be so funny if CDY running in a circle gives away the fact that it's CDY.
All right, taking to this guy to start things off. That is going to be a staff in possession of CDY, looking to try to win this one early. Lipo lands the ground first, is actually using the nunchucks, trying to duel at distance here, wanting to find a way to cut off the reach that the polearm allows for. Is just going to continue to play Ring Around the Rosie, utilizing this power. I don't know if that call to use the F so early was the right one. This Justina now down a cooldown. Going to try to just land on CDY's head. Unfortunately, going to get the big boot to the face. Big juggle as well. Now only down to the health bar. And I think CDY's walking away with it.
Yeah, he got the charge RMB off of the flop state, and then he gets it into the V2 grab. You can see Lipo's reaction. He knew the second he got hit into that next flop state off of the RMB, he was getting put into that V2 and then getting put into the highlight reel. CDY very happy with that one. And yeah, like you said, that investment of the Justina F2 so early into the fight, that allowed that Liam to get way more aggressive and intensive with pressuring on out, coming on out with the commitment of that V2. Star, in the meantime, has not been able to put himself into a realm of Yang, and this is not a situation that he wanted to find himself in. Remember, he's got Vulpine Essence, and it only pops once per game. So if he takes the pressure from XY, and it pops now, as opposed to letting him win a healer situation or clutch a realm of Yang, suddenly the win plan is out the window, and Star might be out of the lobby. He's taking so much damage coming on through from this Kylan. The fan's looking to clank. He's got to invest the F2. There's the knockback into the ultimate activation. He's looking to try and find a great armor reset. He'll be able to find it. Dashes into the bell. The grapple does connect onto Star though and stagger him, so he doesn't get the momentum that he was looking for. Into the building we go. We don't have any more dashes to our name. We've just got to survive off of scale rushes and hope alone, as he might be able to use the terrain to break the ankles. And XY, you can see him frantically trying to figure out where this Justina's gone.
Does look like Star manages to pull off the great escape, living on a prayer, but sometimes that's enough to try again. Now we've got a duel here. CDY in rough position coming out of that chase down scenario. PXT happy to try to clean on up. Spider also giving chase. PXT going to be repelled from this rush down attempt. CDY is trying to just buy a little bit of verticality. Unfortunately, they're running into the wall that is the shadow, and now cut off from an escape. Spider's right on top of them, but it's going to be first landing a killing blow.
Yeah, jump LMBs from the longsword, very much killing blow that a lot of players have fallen prey to, as is the third party opportunity that has presented itself now, both to Verse and also to GG Sha, who just showed up on that left flank. Spider has been forced into burning that V2. That's the first Tiger Pounce. He's trying to turn his opponent's attention onto another player, but unfortunately his health bar is just too low. He will continue in the lobby. He was able to get his hands on a Vermilion Bird's Might, and Sha is potentially going to be able to find his hands on this elimination. PXE going lower and lower, commits the charged R&B from those fist blades before Sha can find the elimination off of the jump LMBs from that longsword, and actually takes so much damage off of the back of that he has to space out of the fight, and that allows WBG's Verse to slide in and claim the elimination for himself. Lonnie has also committed that V2, but Sha's HP is going lower and lower. He's going to be able to utilize the teleport to get himself to the top side of bridge and break into this building, but he's not going to be able to open up that trope and potentially find an armor reset, and he's getting staggered on out. Throws the trick ball back into Verse, but unfortunately for every player he staggers, another two just slide into that position. They've spotted out that he's low, that he's down his ultimate, and they're going to keep up the pressure.
It's absolutely crazy that once again it looks like one of these players who needs the win here and now, needs to get the front run, goes low but manages to survive. Sha has one more shot at a victory here. Frostivus meanwhile going to enter upon PXT immediately. Good counter there from PXT, going to bring health to about even between these two fighters. Frostivus now on the approach path, but the Wolves representative is not backing off. Good counter hit though is going to bring them into a stagger state, and Frostivus looks like they're getting the best of this back half of the fight. Ultimate going to be activated here to get this Lonnie to safety. Frostivus just looking for a way to buy a bit of verticality so that they aren't caught out in the open here. First going to be right alongside them, as now it's going to be both of them giving chase to PXT, who manages to bound across the temple in quite a fast manner, and that might actually be able to get them to safety, as now Frostivus has to climb cliff face. But we've got another melee on the far side of this one, and so BBE gonna cross back around. Finds PXT one more time. Contact is made. PXT trying to get out of there. And where was that damage from Sha out of nowhere? Just gonna blow up PXT.
Oh, the bow shot as well coming on through. Frostivus will fall. PXT will survive. The Lonnie is out of there. Now we have second Realm of Yang. Once again, this lobby, so many players getting eliminated before we even see the second Realm of Yang. They understand the healer situation is not ideal, and these players actually turn their attention from that second Realm of Yang to capping the Spirit Well. There's going to be a contestant to this spacing. Instead, T25 is currently entirely uncontested. He's not going to be able to find another elimination, as Spider actually hits gets in with his ultimate. XY kites back over towards that realm of Yang, but he's literally just utilizing these cliffs to be able to keep up the scale rush pressure, but Spider with that spear is going to be able to chase him down, get a couple more light attacks onto him before he can break away on this Kyle, and we don't have the ultimate in play either. Spider with the damage that he's done has been able to build up the rage. XY burns the combo break, now has to utilize the scale rush. He's got a dagger in the pocket, that's why he's going to be able to keep his movement as fluid as it currently is. Into the zone he goes. Gray armor reset has been picked up. The bait! He makes it look like he's dropping it and goes for the wall hang on the bridge edge. Spider now has to scale rush back into the fight, and XY in the meantime has been able to get a heal off, and Spider's taking so much damage from the zone. As we look back now, we'll have to wait and see whether or not that bait is the end for Spider as we look at the Realm of Yang instead.
T225 already in a rough position here, staggered after that aerial assault. CDY going to be able to use this pillar to their advantage, using the hook shot to get right on top of T225 and in turn burning away their armor. 2-5 going to activate ultimate, looking for a response here. CDY happy to continue to just play at range with their pole. Popping up into bird stance, looking for more. Gets another good shot across the head of T225. It doesn't even look like we're going to be able to get any value out of this. Ball is out. CDY with the killing blow, winning the Realm of Yang.
XY is still alive. Somehow XY is still alive. It must have been off of the back of that Kylan V1. Yeah, we can see it. He is down his ultimate. He is taking damage and he will go down. But Spider is robbed off of that kill and he is not happy. He is chasing down this Justina. He knows that this Justina had the pulse and came on through with the clip, that last hit of damage with the scale rush, the highest level of impact you can do in one singular hit from a scale rush off of that pulse sword. And it's the reason why when we head into this time left and this many players all push into the small spaces, pulse sword becomes an absolute must to have in the back pocket.
Yeah, this pulse sword has been so disruptive to so many people looking for an easy approach, easy fight, but the ability for it to just absolutely buy space and time for a lot of characters who benefit immensely from that has made it absolutely indispensable. We got a replay here, looking to see what happened between Wufong and Axiao here. This is quite the duel to have, only in replay here. Big clinks on either side here. Wufong gonna get the worst of that last exchange there. Axiao getting in with the faster weapon in the form of those chucks. Now on the cross up, Wufong just trying to extract themselves and use these wisps to their advantage. Pops the ultimate as well. Axiao trading up on the other side. It's unfortunately going to be caught out inside of the storm, looking for a way to escape, buying the pole sword as a means by which to get space and get out of the ultimate, and Wufong is just going to be comboed over to the corner. Now, with just a sliver of health left, Axiao is on the chase down, gets clipped one more time, but it's not enough.
Oh, beautiful rates that coming through from Axiao. Ducks under the horizontal, sent out by Wufong, and then utilizes the combo break to avoid the CC, as well as the ultimate activation, so even if he gets slowed by that Tumultuous Wisp and Wind Wall, he can still throw out that Tortoiseshell block, which will be able to catch out the Temi. So even if he gets slowed out and caught by one Wisp, the Temi can't move forward and re-Wisp off of his V3 and catch him into that chain that we've seen the likes of being utilized in the previous Temi matches inside the realm of Yang. And as T25 now, with that Yang depletion, has to try and instigate a fight. He's going to stir the pot, putting pressure onto the players around him, and then very tactically slipping away, happy to force out resources, happy to get the health bars down low, while just sticking around on the sidelines to make sure he's within distance of grabbing the soul bloom when a player drops.
Absolutely. In fact, does have a really good tool set by which to steal kills as well, in the form of that cannon doing splash damage. We got Spider here on the Akos doing what they can here with that Feral Frenzy to just get themselves a victory of their own. Will have to just cross up, wants a bit of space by which to restore their armor. As T225, unfortunately, while they've wasted some resources from others, is now down a lot of their own. So with Yang depletion at less than half health with no armor, now multiple members are giving chase.
Yeah, everyone saw that Liam did lose a Realm of Yang fight. They know that Liam has a Yang depletion debuff. TD5 was able to find a Grey Armor reset, but unfortunately that Grey Armor has since been ripped off as everybody is directly on him. I think he even had a bounty on his head as well, giving away his location. And again, it's another Pulsar Steel kill coming on through, this time from Alliance's Asia. Wufong actually even invested that Tumult V3 in the hopes of locking the body down so that he'd be able to pick up that Soul Bloom, but it is not to be. You can still see Yang depletion has afflicted him, and without that ultimate, he has no way of keeping the other players at arm's length, and he'll be taken out of the lobby as well.
Yeah, we got 7 left alive. Everybody clustered. Everybody already in the midst of this fight right here, right now. Shaw, full bar, looking for an angle on in. Doesn't want to over-invest here, though, early in this one, as this is not only a burden of winning this lobby, but I think also picking up a lot of kills. So they got to play opportunistically in this situation. Star is just going through it right now. It's caught out inside of the Moonbane Charm, looking for scores of their own. Unfortunately, only 2 kills to their name means that they are also going to have to build up their velocity here if they want to match up against some of the other players. Shaw, already a front runner on that front, has been rising to the occasion. Now the question is, can Star do the same? Activates the bell, trying to get a sense of where everybody is. In fact, I think furthest away from the action right now, as here we go. 5 members on screen. Shaw, rounding the corner, will begin to see everybody.
Yeah, Star is positioned to win heal-off situation at the moment. He did not go into a Realm of Yang. He's playing very slow roll. Was able to pick himself up purple armor either from around the map or potentially picked up by buying from a Riftide dealers. Didn't go into a Realm of Yang so that he's still preserving that Volpine essence, which is yet to pop. And then, like you said, he's positioning very far away from a lot of those other players because the Spirit Well has spawned on up, and he does not want to be anywhere near it. When that player is going to be able to pick up that buff. He also doesn't want to be amongst the other players in case that contest goes a little bit too long and gets too hot for the Ice Woman's blood. PXT is going to be showcasing off jabbing, goes for a bow hot swap, and ooh, Burst is immediately on top of that, punishing the fact that you cannot parry with a ranged weapon, commits that focus hit, and immediately is going to be able to zone away that staff. You can even see that he's prioritizing the stagger and the height from that jabbing because it is a blue weapon. As Star is throwing out the charged LMVs, PXT has been chased out of this fight. We can see too the martial arts coming on through from Asia with his Soul Jade, as combo breakers have been burned. Spider loses the fan to a parry from someone else. It went towards the Shayol's back. Unfortunately, Aja's spine is currently being absolutely splintered as he crumples beneath all of the pressure from WBG's burst with the jump horizontals from that longsword, and we've still got the Spirit Well in play. No one has been able to grab it, and it looks like all of the players who'd previously positioned to grab it up immediately, they're all in disengagement mode, Naraka. They're all trying to live.
Loving the Spider classic of just losing armor 3 times over trying to get the Spirit Well. Now having to deal with a pretty rough and tumble fight CDY with a lot of resources. Spider going to activate the Akko's ultimate, using that Feral Frenzy to get some space off of a hard knockdown. Can they get the armor on top of it is the question, as we do have some of the higher health members remaining inside of the Spirit Well. Shaw doing a really good job of playing King of the Hill, catching out Verse, melting some of that legendary armor. That could be enough for the GG fighter to get this. Verse wants one more go, though.
Oh, what a play. You can see the charge up now that players have on that Spirit Well from the outside, and because Moonbane is actually over the Spirit Well, the players step onto the plate to keep it contested. Shaw does not get it, and now we enter into a rapid dance with Moonbane potentially gate crashing the dance cards. Spider back with all of that armor, comes back into the mix, goes for the overhaul of the R&B on that spear, commits it onto PXT2, commits it a second time, this time a little bit of a faster charge up though. He early sends it on to Shaw. He's mixing the tempo up so these players do not have the luxury of being able to anticipate when that focus is going to be committed on to. Spider now with the bow swap. Still has about half of the Spirit Well to be able to cap on out. PXT has also committed that Lani V2 to be able to stagger these players into getting the follow-up charged R&B on that Spear. And he slides now into that Spirit Well alongside GG Shah to see the ACOS off, and the Lannies might be in control of this lobby if they're able to grab it on out. FPX Star has also shown up to the mix, drawn in by this fight going on so long. There's a lot of those ultimates are going to be out of play and could potentially look to vulture away one of those kills. He's not going to be committing though. Remember, he has to keep that Volpine Essence in play. He cannot afford to get caught out now when that Spirit Well gets capped. But unfortunately, with so many players contesting it as long as they did, for the first time in the MVPL 2025 season, it times out entirely, and every single player who committed an ultimate is in a terrible, terrible position.
Yeah, this is absolutely wild. That being said, the topography of the circle is such that I think there's a lot of time and a lot of places by which you're able to recover. Spider is yet again just healing up that armor, getting the refill for like a 5th time running, almost running out of resources on this front. That is something to watch out for, but the war of attrition continues. Now everybody looking yet again for a re-engage or space by which to play this out until the bitter end. 3.5 minutes left on the clock for final circle, and right now there's just not enough space for everybody. The town ain't big enough for the 6 of them, and we're gonna see who's gonna pull the trigger first on a fight.
Yeah, there's also not enough resources left for the 6 of them. So we're very likely actually going to see the fight continue, unlike what we saw in map number 1, where everyone was satisfied to be able to carve up a position of the map and keep each other at arm's length before the final zone fully forced them into having to take the plunge and kickstart off that fight. You can see here that there's a lot more tension in the air. Spider knows, even though he's got that legendary armor, like you said, he is down those resources. He currently only has 2 shield pots, and because there's no dealers in play, and because a lot of these players have already picked clean all of the resources, the only way that you're refreshing those accounts are going to be if you can actually find a kill on a player and absorb their resources into your own. And PXT might be the player that they've chosen to press up against at the same time that they've actually all-inned onto the other Lani too. So both of these Lanis having to commit the V2. Shah gets chased down, will be able to find the trick for connection onto WBG's verse, but unfortunately so many of these players are down those resources. The second that he finds a stagger onto one of them, another just absorbs his position, and Shah is not given the opportunity to look for a reset. PXT is also being pressured. Shah saw the other player incredibly low and tries to lead his pursuers towards PXT, and PXT will fall shortly before Shah, but it is not going to provide that respite Shah was looking for. And very quickly we go from 6 to 4. Resources are now out on the field, and you can see Spider was 2 shield potions, is now on 6. He did not want the elimination, he wanted the loot.
Absolutely. Spider looking to re-enter into this one. Has decent momentum behind him. A lot of ability by which to take people down off this nunchucks as people get closer and closer together, and nobody is playing any zoning weapons, really. I think this is their time to shine. Star up top, about the only one trying to continue to play that keep away game plan. CDY, though, going to fall first to Spider. Now handed off damage. We'll have to just try to get to safety. Here comes the chase down. First going to be the one to follow through. Already 6 kills on the player from Weibo. Will be able to knock down a 7th and eliminate one more for our final 3.
Another kill gets tallied and stolen by a Pulse Sword Scale Rush. WBG's verse, perfect timing. However, this is what Star was waiting for. We saw him earlier visit the Riptide dealers. He picked up a legendary Soul Jade. We now know what legendary Soul Jade it was. It's a Grey Staff, but it's got Merciless Havoc attached to it. And that means zoning potential, damage, and a whole lot of knockback if you get hit by that last thump of damage into that zone. Remember, he's still got the Volpine Essence too. He's still got his ultimate in play. He's playing in a position where the other players are going to have to hard commit onto him, which opens them up to the third party. We are going to a heal-off situation versus currently sitting on 7 eliminations. He's going to be looking for a tasty score off of that kill score multiplier, and Star, before he can skill rush up into the air, gets interrupted, and we go to the low ground. He has to utilize the F2. Out comes the V1. It's going to knock the players up. He gets the freeze onto WBG's first, leads into the RMB, gets another dash through, avoids the Tiger Pounce grab coming through from from Spider. Spider gets the last hit onto Verse. The Merciless Havoc comes out, but Spider will be able to keep the heal-off situation in play by stealing the Soul Bloom directly beneath Star's nose. And we have a tie.
Oh my goodness, one small miscalculation there from Star. Spider is able to come on in and be that balance breaker, winning the heal-off situation, playing proactively. It's Narako's walking away with a dub here in game number 4.
It's Verse, though, who gets the eliminations to be able to count his MVP. Remember, he came in with
a lot of choke points by which people may end up consolidating, even if they don't want to. Fights could break out up here, so I'm really looking to see how Shaw and company are going to navigate this situation. Speaking of Shaw, already on the rare armor, see PXT in a similar situation as T225 is just sent running, unfortunately, with a hook shot on top of them. They could just find themselves knocked out here early and having to go towards the Soul Altar. Good movement across the cliff face, and while they're outside of a loot range now, unfortunately, they are not away from Lipo to start things off. We'll descend down to the low ground. Another hook shot on top of them means that they're continuing to have to play the runaway. 2 people in chase right now. In fact, make that more down onto the low ground. T225 trying to just find any way out of the situation, corral all the rest of the fighters against one another. Good utilization of the hut. Unfortunately, they're staggered here, and it looks like that is going to be the Wolves fighter knocked away. T225 able to keep alive for the time being, but Wufang is now on top of them, trying to reduce that armor bar.
Yeah, very good kite path comes on through from T225. He was able to kite them over towards the Frost Butterflies and freeze one of his pursuers. And then he can put himself into the portal and immediately zip on over towards Yishan Ruins. Very smart stuff coming through from him. And now his opponents, they don't want to go through the portal because they have no idea if T225 is charging up an RMB on those dual blades, which you can turn on the hit if you think that your opponent is going to parry. You have no idea if you go through the portal into a focus attack, and they can't risk it. So instead, they turn on each other, and T225 is home free.
All right, well, that was Aizhao hit down early in this one. You're going to have to just find recovery and a reset. CDY now actually having to run away from Verse. Looks like given how low Verse was in terms of health, this is just going to be a bit of a handshake. As the berries are going to be eaten, CDY is looking to recover their armor in kind. We did see a cannon shot from on far. I think that was Verse still, who wants to continue this duel at range, leaping down into the canyon here. That's going to reduce the effectiveness of that weapon, but it looks like Verse is happy to just pull the staff out and try to match toe-to-toe with CDY on the fists. You definitely have a range advantage here for WBG side, but that being said, Verse is a little bit wary about taking this one too deep, because anyone could third party in this situation. In fact, we got XY on top of CDY now.
Yeah, we call it the dinner bell, and that has been wrong. Forbidden Seal activates. Everybody in the area sees that blue dome pop, and they know that the fight is going on, and who comes in with the third party tends to have the advantage in terms of those cooldowns, since both the ACOS and that Sheol had been burned of their cooldowns. When XY came into the mix, Frostivus, though, turning in with the nunchuck, strips the armor away, gets that one hit of parry damage. XY with the damage reduction off of that F1 and combo break will be able to survive the third-party intrusion. Coming up through from WBG's first, but Frostivus investing the ultimate is going to look to try and find the dash throughs to be able to take XY down. He turns onto Verse. Instead, the after image not going to be able to connect onto the other Sheol. And now Frostivus, outside of that ultimate, is potentially going to be vulnerable if he doesn't find this elimination in time, because Verse is going to get second wind. F1 is going to be infested, but XY has the V1 currently in play, and Verse is the one that the counter gets sent towards. The Grey Armor reset is going to be able to keep the Sheol alive, puts himself into the Skull Rush opportunity with the Fist Blades, as well as getting more damage onto Frostivus before slipping on over towards that cannon, puts himself onto the sidelines, throws out the RMB, will be able to take Frostivus down, and now it becomes a matter of Sheol versus Sheol. XY's not able to find the elimination in time, and Verse, buying himself the spacing off of that F1, will be able to activate the ultimate, and now the ball is in Verse's court.
Yeah, Verse in a decent position here for being so low on health. XY just unable to get a hit in edgewise. Actually going to try to just scale up the cliffside wall, knowing that there's a potential to be third party. And yes, there is in fact going to be one more player entering onto this melee. Verse also on the escape path here, just trying to follow XY from above. Tracking this player. XY going to be imprisoned up here in a lot of trouble. Will try to drop down once again. CDY going to lose half their armor to Verse in a deep exchange on the cliff face. And now with Verse still buying space using the staff, all of a sudden it seems like WBG is very happy with this exchange, gets the soul bloom. CDY doesn't have the armor, and now I think Verse is just going to turn around. What was it, 2v1?
Yeah, Verse has the F1 in play, doesn't have the combo breaker now. Will be trying to remove himself from this fight or take it into terrain where CDY is not guaranteed use of access with that Akos V2. CDY charges up the nunchucks, tries to figure out where the Shale has gone. Verse threatens the spacing with that katana. There's the Akos ultimate activated. Shale is going to make sure that the grab cannot come through with the hit of that F1. CDY now buys himself the distance to be able to go for one vitality before burning up into the armor powders. Going to cancel out of that ultimate so he can start regenerating the rage. Both of those players will be able to survive as we head now into just north of Plume, just underneath a killer's crest. Are we going to see a chandelier kill? I have been waiting for years to make a Phantom of the Opera reference. If that chandelier finally comes crashing down on a player's head, but it's not to be. A star takes the fight ever skywards, reaching for his namesake with the scale rush off of that dagger, and he goes so high that Spider just knows that he can't have his attention diverted. He has to prioritize this realm of Yang fight instead.
Yeah, already though, good entry point onto Wu Fang makes it look like Spider made the right call to get on over here and try to contest the realm of Yang. Wu Fang in trouble, gonna lose armor here. Also gonna be using that pass up, as I don't think that they can hang with Spider right now, who's got the high ground, who's got the range advantage off the whole arm. Does a really good job of committing high damage combos. Wu Fang now ulted. I think this is going to be enough for Spider to get the full combo. Whips the charge attack actually there. Good movement there by Wu Fang to try to right what was wrong, but unfortunately, Spider will be able to land the killing blow, and beyond that, guarantee a spot in the realm of Yang.
Yeah, and that's going to be a second purple weapon picked up for Spider, as well as the Yang Pulse, which is going to buy himself up all of that charge to the Liam V2. He's going to be matching up against SS1's CDY. So Akos versus Liam. Remember as well, this is an Akos with an F2, not an F1. So CDY might go for the raw to prior into the horizontal uppercut extension. Both of them are going to prioritize the sky battle, though. Spider managing to find the interruption with that dagger into the pistol swap, and that's already all of the armor ripped off of this Akos. The V2 has to come on through. Spider has used the combo break. He's going to get grabbed up by the first punch. He's still holding on to this Liam ultimate. He's going to use it now. Gets the grab. That's going to buy himself the time to use one Vitalia. Throws the Akos up into the sky to send him crashing down into the RMB from the halberds. And unfortunately, CDY comes crashing back down to the earth, sent back into reality, back to that soul altar.
Got a big aerial duel here. T225 just trying to do what they can off cannon here, trading deep versus their opponent. Shaw doing as best they can to buy space, but unfortunately these constant backdashes are just not getting them what they were looking for. Staggered on one, losing armor on another trade versus the dual blades, as once again T225 is happy to say, hey, I'll trade mono with you at any range you so want, pistol or not. I could dive on in, and Shaw is just getting worn down. Haskell's just seeing an F, and I just don't think there's any recovery point from here on out. Health differential is too much. Shaw's burned too many resources. T225 gonna get frozen up here. Doesn't really matter. Double jump into the claws. That'll be enough to do it.
Yeah, T225 doing a very good job of just threatening that space, looking for the 1-2-3 and then cancelling out of it with the grapple into the pistol swap. Really clean job of being able to just shred off the armor, force the Justina into ulting. When he's at a safe distance and doesn't have to worry about the knockback on that ultimate activation, CDY will be able to find the parry, and Spider, oh no! A little bit of a misplay. He was not able to utilize that Liam F1 to keep the weapon in his control, and he's now lost the legendary spear to the Akos that he defeated previously.
Yep, Spider in a rough position here. Gonna have to burn that Vermilion Bird's Might early, and you just basically lose a lot of the swing that you would typically get off of a Realm of Yang, and CDY is so happy about that. Still needs to land that final blow, might be able to get it up here. Spider practically gonna use the freeze. CDY descends from the heavens in a tiger form and gets it.
Oh my goodness, that's the flash. That's the flash that we associate with CDY. He could have gone for just the base kill, but he goes for the freeze fly to be able to lock Spider down. And Spider, he's not happy about that. He wants his legendary spear. He's going in. He knows that CDY overcommitted his ultimate and that he's got the upper hand if this fight goes on long. There's the raw. Spider utilizes the F1 to dodge evade from the pro coming on through. And CDY with the slam down attempt comes on out, but that's fair. A little bit too slow. Spider isn't able to find the grapple kick extension because here comes the third party, T225, inviting himself into the fray, and suddenly Spider's decision to salty run back onto Frozen Lakes is falling apart. He's got to go for the dagger that skirmishes off of the rock pillars. He's trying to keep himself just out of the way of T225 as another player and another player rolls up to the mix. We're all tobogganing on Frozen Lake right now.
Yeah, this is a disaster. Spider with the double parry may be able to buy some space, escapes through tower, trying to get on up to a vantage point that he can use to his benefit. T225 going to follow Spider now back on a rare armor, has a little bit more time by which to try to stabilize. Old field is also being used here, and that could be enough. Spider salvages the situation, is still going to be met with CDY. Happy to take this duel, as we got a hook shot in, as T225 wants as much value as possible out of this exchange. Spider crossing along the way, using the stone pillars to his benefit to buy movement, but unfortunately the follow through is so immaculate from these other players. They're happy to take the duel around this tower for the time being. Notably, Shadow is going to cut off the space that a lot of these guys want to use. Spider doing what they can to try to find knockback here. Doesn't want to spend too much time here inside of the shadows. Taken to the air. Unfortunately, T225 is there to meet them on the ground here. And now he's going to take a rough trade. Less than half health. And while he does get the parry, I don't know if it's enough. Two people on top of them. Lipo not able to land the killing blow. Spider is just going to expire inside of the shadows.
Unfortunately, it might lead to some other players going down as well. TW5 just sent in stone form. Just 5 seconds left on Vermilion Birds, mate. Is the reason that he's going to be able to continue in this lobby. Lipo with Yang depletion will be able to pick up a soul bloom as well and cleanse himself of that. That's why Spider was putting himself into the inside of that tower. Like, the zone tick damage this early in the game is not going to kill you. What is going to kill you is if a player hard commits because they have Yang depletion and they need to be able to drop a body to grab that bloom up. So Spider tries to just last out the fight as long as possible in the hopes that by just deterring those players from getting the fast kill that they're looking for, they have to roll away because of the timer, forcing them into taking a fight where they can actually potentially finish it. Doesn't work out that way. Spider will be out of the lobby for the salty run back decision that he was making. Star now goes for the Liam V2. Will be able to grab onto Sha. Did not manage to find the follow-up damage that he was looking for. He was looking more for a disengagement option to provide distance and get some of those resources back. Shah with the F2 sends out the RMB, and it's going to be the threaten coming on out from the jump LMBs from those fist blades before Shah can find a recovery, as Ajiao is all in currently. This Syra V1 sending Frostabus absolutely packing away from that Yang entrance.
Yeah, Frostabus still holding on to the barest amount of life. Unfortunately, I don't think there's anywhere to go. Two people on top of them looking to just wipe out BBE. Now over in the side, they're able to use the canvas as cover. It's not enough. While they do have the ability to pop one healing berry, I don't think that XY is going to be deterred whatsoever from continuing to follow through. Frostabus in a very desperate scramble situation needs to try to find a way to usher XY into another fight. Unfortunately, Kylan has burned all resources, no Fury available, and so they're going to have to do this the hard way. Cross up on XY. XY follows through once again. Here comes a third fighter sending from the heavens. It's going to be T225. Frostabus going to use the opportunity to jump on top of the HUD. It's not enough, though, as they're going to find themselves face-to-face with XY one more time. They scale rush outside of the building, and now there's another hook shot coming on in. I think that probably that Kylan's not long for this world, but we do have to look at what's happening here in the realm of Yang. CDY facing off versus Star. Star with the backdash, looking to play at range. Legendary weapons for both of these fighters. CDY with the spear available. Happy to continue the chase down, though. Big tech chases are going to come through as now Star looking to reset neutral. It's going to pop, try to find a grab on the ultimate. CDY undeterred, just continues to force the way in. There's the juggle. Akko's abilities coming out now, trying to fire through an ultimate. Will be balled up for their trouble, and this could actually be enough for Star to turn it right back around. There's the TOD.
What comes up must unfortunately come down and into an awful lot of damage indeed. Asia now providing an awful lot of damage with the skirmish entrances from that legendary pulse sword, chipping down versus purple armor, taking us back into neutral advantage for the Syra. There's the toothpick into the grapple, into the pulse sword swap. Doesn't manage to find the next hit though, and this provides an opportunity for that Shail to find an in. However, Asia held onto his ultimate in case he dropped the combo and will be able to come on through, utilizing the pressure of those stun dazzles to keep the Shail constantly on the move. The stun dazzle connects. Burst does manage to throw out the choice block shell, but does not get to capitalize off of the back of it because 18 seconds have not passed just yet. Now they expire. The Siren no longer in that V1 state, vulnerable potentially as he goes for the double jump swap off onto the longsword with engraving, drop down onto the Shail once and gets the second connection with engraving and finds the win. Asia, an absolute sliver of HP, cool as a cucumber, is able to find the win condition that he needs to see the fight through.
So happy to see Asia continuing that streak of excellence that we saw from earlier on in the matches today. Had a kind of a stumble at the beginning of this game, I believe, but now is emerging with White Tiger's prowess and plenty of time to use it.
What a realm of Yang win for Asia. Like we talked about, like, he's a rookie, right? He's the one that's supposed to be inexperienced. He's the one that is potentially going to falter under the pressure of those lights. And he's just flourishing underneath them as, oh my goodness, we came so close. Chandelier came crashing down! Yes! It finally happened! The Polygon got its Chandelier crash moment! And Star now is haunted by the ghost of that CC stun. He's got one throw left of the V2. He's going to make it count. He connects it onto WBG's first, and he is out of there all the way to the top of Akila's crest.
Yeah, Star's been using the verticality of this map to his benefit. Second time in a row that they're going to be navigating up towards the very top of Sun Rings West, and we're going to see what that leads to as he's going to have the time to lick his wounds. CDY, I don't think it's going to be granted the same luxury. Asia on top of them, full legendaries, very happy to take this fight, and even as they eat an ultimate, they still aren't able to even out the damage one way or the other. CDY is in a rough position, trying to follow through with a good tech chase. Asia actually going to lose armor now, but there's a big knockdown. CDY needs to try to find a reset as now the third party is going to come through. Here's the ultimate activated here by Asia, and with nowhere to dodge to, CDY almost just going to lose straight up to Syra Beam. And now, while they do manage to recover some amount of armor, unfortunately, we're getting enough CC coming through from Verse that this is now job to wipe them on out. Verse, though, wants to try to find an answer back, knows Asia is hurt, knows that this is their opportunity to take this fighter down a peg. Big trade up top, has the spear at their back, looking for a way to dive in, was considering just a rush, decides to not go for it. Asia going to use this downtime to heal back up.
Yeah, Asia knows that he can't commit into this fight because that Shail kept a hold of their ultimate. And he burned his, and it was very apparent that he burned his because those stun dazzles were popping off the entire fight. Now we're going to have a little bit of downtime. All of the players who lost their Realm of Yang fights have either been knocked out of the lobby or been able to pick up the soul blooms necessary to keep themselves in it. And we're going to have a little bit of a lull, especially since White Tiger's prowess is still going to be coming into play. Start, legendary armor, legendary fist blades. Going to be feeling very happy with themselves. Currently on 3 eliminations. Does not want to get spotted out. We've seen that the Liams are going to be target numero uno for a lot of these players in the lobby. So you can see that he's making sure he has so many disengagement pathing options. He's going to use the rising stance to put himself all the way up to the top of Akila's crest. which is going to give him a proper bird's eye view, quite literally, of all of the goings on around him. As Lipo is also thinking the exact same thing. I adore when we get final zones around the gravity rocks because it means that movement becomes absolute king.
Yeah, Lipo just trying to get as much of a vantage point as they can. We do have the Moonbane's Breath pushing all the way up to this level, and so you could very much still be caught out in an instant if you are careful with your pathing. Here's a replay of what we saw between Lipo and Aishao. Actually, in the realm of Yang here, there's that stagger, tech chase. Lipo just trying to find a little bit of respite. Unfortunately, Aishao just going to deny them that opportunity as they navigate the utilization of this column. And while Lipo does manage to find a counter hit here, Aishao is right back onto the offensive.
Yeah, that's that Syra F1 though, forcing Lipo to space away, and that gives up all of that distance for the Syra V1 to come on through. Lipo utilizes the combo break into ultimate activation, catches Aishao against the invis wall, gets to come in through with the jump horizontal on those fist blades, spaces away from the stun dazzle before it can stun him out, as it is now going to be more and more right. The pillar, he goes out of stamina into the stun dazzle just as the Syra ultimate ends, which allows Aishao to come through with the grapple kick extension off of the back of it. Lipo now gets the 1-2. Syra investing that F1 once again. The longsword jump LMBs target locking him right on top of that Lani though. And that's how Aishao was able to come out on top. Unfortunately, history might repeat itself, Naraka. The last time we saw Aishao kitted to the teeth, trying to take away his spirit well, the entire lobby turned on him so they could absorb the loot instead. And it looks like the same thing was about to occur. And I'm pretty sure Aishao was thinking of deja vu just as he distanced himself from that position.
Yeah, that being said, it's still pretty confident. Looking for the reapproach. XY currently inside of the Spirit Well. Gets the double parry. Here comes the reapproach, though. T225 going to try to grab aggro, forcing XY away from this one. Takes up the topside bridge, looking for a re-engage. Star now going to be the one sitting in the middle of Spirit Well. Lipo just playing the bow and arrow at range. Star just having to hop, skip, and jump around to make sure that they aren't getting picked off so easily. XY now going for the re-engage. PXT there as a zoning tool, meaning that a lot of people are just going to tap out and say, yeah, I'm good for now. I'm going to wait to see how many resources are burned by other players as Aisha's right back in it. Dives in, going to trade here versus Verse, I believe, who is now going to try to take their spot in the sun. Star doing a good job of staying in for the longest here at the Spirit World. I think that this may be theirs to claim unless
the Moonbane.
Them out here. Yeah, as you say, there's the Moonbane activation. Oh, Star just going to be blasted in an instant, is going to have to be sent scrambling.
Yeah, however, he's not going to go for the armor swap because remember, if he dropped that legendary armor that he currently has equipped to grab the one that Spirit Well removes, the players around him would actually be able to pick up his dropped armor, just not the armor that was dropped from the Spirit Well, which is why he backs on off, utilizes the Moonbane as a smokescreen. Will be able to come through with a grab into Narnia. That V2 connection onto Lipo. Where the heck did that Lani even come from? It's probably exactly what Lipo was thinking. Where the heck did this Liam suddenly come from? There's the V2 coming out into play. Star is going to utilize the F1 combo break to avoid getting staggered on out by that trick ball into a TOD. And off of the back of that, he knows that he's forced this landing into an unfavorable position. He is going to continue to try to follow up, and unfortunately, Lipo denied the opportunity to kite fully where he wants because of that Moonbane. He will be able to distance himself, cutting one of those AoEs between himself and his chaser, before he puts himself all the way up to the top of Akila's crest. This is such a good kite position. A lot of the time when we see players, when Yang depletion is on the board, everyone will move up to here because there's just no way that you're going to be able to lock a player down, especially if it's a player like Lani, who gets so much mobility on both her F1 and either the V1 or the V2, and you can see Star, that frustration is going to be growing. The fact that he's spending this long chasing down one player means that a lot of that Mystic Might is going to be burned out when he turns to the rest of the lobby. However, that Mystic Might is the reason he can keep this chase going for so long. Lipo has no way of breaking the ankles because Mystic Might is going to reveal his position regardless By trying to run away from Star, he feeds himself into WBG's burst. Every single direction he turns, he's got another player facing him down, and I think the end might be within sight for this poor Lanny, who's got to try and go for an armor swap, but WBG's burst, he ran into him originally. He was keeping a track of where that Lanny was running to, and just waiting for the opportune moment to strike.
Yeah, Lypo being able to pick up 3 kills before they expire here, down to 6 players left with about 3.5 minutes on the clock. This, I think, is going to be going the distance. You say how long these engagements are able to last for, even as the Shadow is going to exclude a lot of the really, really high vantage points here on the map. Fact of the matter is, there's so many places to hookshot off of and otherwise buy space and buy time. And so everybody's going to claim their own little domain at different levels, at different heights. And I think that we are settling on in for what is going to be a very slow 3 minutes as people just jockey for final position.
Yeah, Asia does not want to reveal that there's a Syra. He cannot get spotted out. He's the only Syra in play. And everybody is not going to want to let that hero get his own claps, because if they're all underneath, they're all getting hit by Stun Dazzle into that microwave beam. Star, likewise, is going to be on one of those heroes that is target on site, so you're going to see the pathing much more careful, not looking for eliminations, just looking to be out of sight, out of mind, goes over towards the body of Lypo, picks up some resources, then puts himself into a tiny little space that he does not get spotted out, and it's all going to be about target selection for all of these players currently left.
XY at range, now gonna play up top here and gonna find T225, I think. No, crouched behind the altar, not spotted out just yet. XY distracted, tried to play with that bow and arrow. T225 can emerge from this, fire off the cannon, get some point blank shots going. It sees Asia below them. Now the question is, who's going to drop down? Who's going to contest? Star also just trying to zone out at the very lowest point of this final circle.
Yeah, everyone on the top is trying to put pressure onto Asia, who's been forced to go out wide, which means that he is getting looked at by all of these players with the cannons who are trying to just chip the health bar down, force a resource, force an ultimate. You can see everyone as well equip pole swords. They're all looking to try and come in with the last hit off of that scale rush. Asia is going to buy himself a little bit of time with the blistering edge that he's literally just sending, trying to zone away, but unfortunately that's not going to keep himself safe from the cannon fire, and back against the wall. He has no choice. Out comes that Syra V1 and away runs everybody else. Can he turn it on someone else so that everyone in the lobby looks on them instead and allows him to slip silently into the Hollow of Night? XY is getting looked at, but Asia out of ultimate isn't close enough to grab the Soul Bloom, and WBG's verse yet again, eyes on the prize, claims the kill with that cannon. T225 now been forced into burning the ultimate. It's a little bit too close to that edge of the zone, but no player knows exactly how many grabs he currently has left to his name. They're going to wait for the ultimate to be done. He puts himself directly behind the wall, utilizes all of the movement from this portal, puts himself up into the sky, potentially looks for a drop down, but they're not going to let him. He finds the F1, knocking back one player into the zone, comes on through with the R&B, doesn't commit the Stormform, but gets cooked up by the Liam V2. They let the Liam live, and all of a sudden, Star is in premier position to win this lobby.
That being said, Verse has a lot of health to play with here, and I don't know if the same is to be said here for this Liam. Verse in a really good position, coming out, fighting one Elam, finding the other. And what a showing it is going to be. Verse of Weibo with the second win on the day.
He got so many eliminations too. Like, he wasn't putting himself into danger. He was making sure whether it was the bow for a precision shot when a player was looking to grab the armor swap when he did those secret tunnels, which is why a lot of those players are going to gravitate to those areas first. Premier pick potential as Asia gets scooped back by both of the hits from the fan charged R&B coming out from Lypo, who struck absolute purple coming on through right now. No legendaries currently in play, but this is such a good start for Lypo, who's already been able to shred down all of this armor from Asia, who does come on through with the jump hits from those fist blades, but it's not going to be enough to be able to take the Shadow down. And as we head into Secret Tunnel, CDY is going to be utilizing those dashes to try and pop off some of these poison mushrooms.
It's kind of a little wave in the high, gonna cross around and look for loot. CDY happy to play this a bit slower just trying to get up to a decent resource package to use to outweigh somebody, as T225 isn't being given that same opportunity. This verse is already right on top of them, fighting near the shadow. Big juggle. And a nice finishing blow by one of the most aggressive players in this lobby.
Yeah, good understanding that when that cliff sort of falls away and you get the river and the bridge over it with the drop down, there is a potential for multiple jump LMBs from those fist blades as the dash from that Justina V1 connects onto PXT. Longsword verticals are also going to be sent out, but XY, having that grey armor, not going to want to try and keep this fight invested. He's also fighting in a spot that a lot of players kite onto, because just to the right side of PXT were Fireflies spawned on up. And XY now out of that ultimate is going to be in a very vulnerable position, because if he's without that combo breaker as well, there's the jump LMV coming out from Verse, instantly putting his position directly on top of that Justina. And even though the parry was found, WBG's Verse with the third party and the swap from that bow yet again finds a kill that he's been looking for. He has been doing a really good job of starting off a fight with a melee and then swapping just off on the sidelines with a ranged weapon to be able to finish off the kill.
Very close health pool on either side. CDY gonna just get prisoned here. Spider looking for the killing blow. Almost gets beaten by the banister there. Manages to get around and land one final shot here. Good stuff from another player who's really looking to right course after what happened in game number 5. As now we turn our attention to Shaw, looking to try to kill Frostivus here. As I said, I'm looking at Frost to try to make a mark. Unfortunately, already without armor, they're in a very difficult position. Parry back, now just trying to use the house as a means by which to find leverage, but Shaw plays patiently, plays grounded, and finds the killing blow, as now we watch First versus PXT.
Yeah, unfortunate for Frostivus. He won the original gamble too. Like, the Liam was not happy with the decision that he made, invested that combo breaker. Frostivus still had his F1, but because they were fighting inside that building, the F1 didn't get as much value as the Tempest was looking for, and immediately the Liam was able to follow up on the disengage and catch him as he hit the ground with the RMB from those halberds, which has been long since a problem for those tumultuous whenever they use the F1. It's the reason why it's gold focus, not a blue like it used to be in the past, because you would immediately just get chased up to either by dual blades, nunchucks, or halberds, as Verse with the dual blades will be able to find the parry. Also like the combo breaker from this Liam, so F1 has since been invested. PXT, there are so many players in this area. He is going to be able to kite into a second building and then scale rush out of that window frame, putting himself potentially out of arm's reach. The horizontal hits, he's going to also be able to pick himself up that little bit of utility, which is going to silence his footsteps coming on through. Unfortunately for him, it doesn't blind his opponents, not the Dandelions, one of their pastimes. And PXT with that scale rush is now on the low level, having to utilize the charged LMB from the stagger just to climb himself a little bit closer towards the cliffs to get another scale rush off of the back of. Picks up a great armor reset. We get another scale rush up onto one of those buildings, and still this chase continues, but PXT is going lower and lower and lower. He has been able to find a distance to disengage, but he hasn't found the damage to turn his pursuers onto someone else. There's an attempt, a little bit of a light attack hit towards one player who gets a little bit too close, and PXT is still sliding and moving and scale rushing out of this fight for as long as he possibly can.
Yeah, impressive stuff from PXT, who will actually just find a hiding spot. And I think that might be enough. Lipo back on top of the roof here. PXT, I think, is spotted again, but is back to full armor and almost full health here. Star, though, sees the common armor, realizes that this is still an opportunity for him to try to answer back. Unfortunately, he's going to lose that initial trade after entering in with a hook shot. T225 on the backside of this one means that PXT has to be incredibly careful, but so does Star. Star off knockdown, looking to just re-engage upon PXT. PXT is losing their armor for this, but Star is going worryingly low. PXT off dagger, trying to just buy a little bit of space. Double freeze coming through, and T225 doesn't care who they find. They will get themselves a kill and a second.
Oh, good dash freezes coming through from T225. PXT, unfortunately, if he went for a commitment onto the Cheryl because the Cheryl ultimate was active, he would just have committed a stagger, which would have allowed the CC from that headlock to come on through. He wanted as well to die now so that he still had the opportunity to continue in this lobby before the rebirths were taken off of that table. Spider's going to be dueling out for control over this Realm of Yang entrance. Know that TV5 has covered one of them with a moonbeam. That's why Spider is going to be drifting and dueling GG Shack currently. Spider not wanting to get too close to the outsides of it, especially some shots swapped over towards that staff. He does not want to be on the wrong end of a charged R&B. Spider goes for the wall hang a little bit too long. There's the attempted R&B coming in through from Shao. Spider is going to maneuver this position of the fight a little bit closer towards that Yang portal in case things start going wrong. There's the activation of the ultimate, which is going to put more pressure onto Shah. The shield block is going to be able to keep Spider out of all of that damage coming through from this Liam, as well as avoiding the follow-up from that charged R&B. He saved the charge, but Shah is able to get out of the headlock and throw that V2, and Spider suddenly is out of distance of the Yang pass, will be able to maneuver himself over the portal in time to beat Shah's kite and pick up the portal pass yet again. Still has another block, still has another charge, will be able to put the Liam into a headlock long enough to buy himself, with the investment of the F1, finally passage into a Realm of Yang fight.
Yep, and so we got YCG versus ALL, and now we got Spider facing off versus CDY here. ASC, last one. May not have to match up against anybody, but we are going to take the skies here and see how this one fares. Spider already looking for a way in. Good quick swap off of that bow and arrow after not landing that. Try to just force their way through with the nunchucks. CDY going to be knocked back here. Spider happy to just continue to play the runaround, using this column as a blocker. CDY trying to find an entrance point, dashes back. Currently low on armor here, and is going to be imprisoned. That should be enough. And Spider, smelling blood in the water, going to jump on top of their opponent. Double lockup now. One last shot. CDY tries to stabilize. And Spider's happy to fall back and start to use the bow and arrow. Sent tumbling. Spider might actually lose their armor here. CDY having a bit of time to recover. It's another lockup, though. And just one sliver of health left. A bow and arrow connects, and that means that Spider just needs one touch. Tries to land an LNB. CDY answers back with a combo, but gets clipped at the very end. And you can see the reaction of CDY. He thought he could reverse course.
Yeah, that ability to just charge up the counter throw and put it out whenever you so please. Spider just waiting for the last possible minute so his opponent thinks that, okay, he's burned out of charge, the ultimate is done, and then he gets to throw it on through just as the Colin ultimate deteriorates as well. Really good control coming through from Spider to just withhold that last little bit of counter block commitment. We're going to see that Asia also was able to win his Realm of Yang, so continuing, that's his first elimination actually in this lobby. So he was slow building on this one, making sure that he was skilled enough to be able to win that first Realm of Yang, because now he'll be able to get his hands on a legendary weapon, which is going to be doing an awful lot for this ACOS to be able to follow up on off of that V2. We'll probably get to see a replay coming through. I believe he might have won it up against TW5, who's currently on Yang depletion, as Verse, our previous MVP back-to-back, is now taken out of the lobby by ASE's XY. CDY going head-to-head against TW5, the Justina needing to keep this fight going, potentially wanting to all in with that ultimate before a third party can come on through. But there's WBG's Verse in ghost form, potentially going to be rezzing up near to look for a third party opportunity, especially given the fact that CDY on great armor now without a weapon is about to get sent packing. TW5 finds the elimination, will be able to pick up the Soul Bloom, and he does it all with the V1 on this Justina still intact. So if he needs to pop the cord and disengage fully, it's absolutely still an option.
Yeah, and we could see that maybe that was a follow through, as CDY definitely seemed a little bit tilted coming out of that Realm of Yang, now cleaned up, eliminated from the lobby. That is their last chance to make a mark here today, and that will solidify their spot at number 10, very much within striking distance of losing out their placements, depending on how things go in the other set of solos. So that's one of those things to talk about here. That pressure very much present for players like him. Players like Spider as well is currently getting the better of Lipo in this exchange. Good counter hit. Lipo in a lot of trouble now. Going to have to be set and running. Trying to use the clip face to the best of their ability. Spider happy to trade mono and mono, just very close to one another. Spider with the scale rush, unfortunately, going to get Matador. Will not be able to land that connection. May not matter. While Spider does get grabbed here in the mirror, I don't think that that's enough for Lipo to bring it back. Spider, one more shot will do it.
Yeah, not off of that scale rush. Spider will be able to pick up the elimination, but this ASC is Xuan Yuan, and now here's the problem for Spider. He's got his ultimate. and it's about to run on out. So if XY wants to try and take this fight, he is going to have an advantage, and Spider knows this. So he's going to put up a little bit of pressure, try and buy himself up one of those charges. And the ultimate runs out, and he's in full disengagement mode. WG's verse getting absolutely fried currently by the RMBs coming in from the 1-2 of those halberds. Loses all of that purple armor. T225 also just wanting to try and find a nice entrance into the fight. He has been able to pick up a soul bloom, so he doesn't want to full commit into it, especially since we've got another Realm of Yang spawning on through, which is the reason that Verse is currently kited into this pathway. Not only is there a Realm of Yang, there's also going to be a Spirit Well, so he's hoping that there's going to be enough bait on the table to draw in a player and force a fight which he can take advantage of and cleanse that Yang depletion. Considering he's only got 2 minutes, he doesn't have the time to be able to track down some of these players' locations. If he'd been able to get that elimination, that would have been perfect. Unfortunately for him, he was no winner.
XY trying to continue this bout of aggression. Wufong trading with them. XY now incredibly low. Has to try to find a parry here and now. Good knockback. Wufong in trouble. Activates ultimate, looking for a way to disrupt XY, who's going to have to freeze in response to this one. And as soon as that stasis wears, Wufong right back in there to land the killing blow.
Okay. Xuanyuan, I am incredibly surprised he went for that Justina F2. That timer of Vermilion Bird's Might was 10 seconds sub. If that F2 had kept him alive long enough for him to be out of Vermilion Bird's Might and that Lani V2 to take him down just as that burned out, he would be out of this lobby for good.
Yep.
So the fact that he went for that play is crazy. The fact that he's respawned as well. He went for a soul ultra and he's positioning himself to take a second Realm of Yang fight. T225 is also going to put himself into another Realm of Yang fight despite losing the first one. And we can see the chase down coming on through. Verse puts the pressure onto Xuanyuan. Both of these players, the Lani commits the V2, the Justina the V1. Verse is down stamina though, and has to make sure that he kites over towards those cliffs and can skirmish out of a potential fight that comes on down. As you can see on the mini-map, T's Wufong does not care about that portal. He cares about the elimination he can potentially find on this landing because he knows that she just invested that ultimate, and he knows that the landing had Yang depletion and is potentially looking to get that last hit before Verse gets taken down to depletion. But no, Verse jukes him, hides around the corner, and Wufong slides directly past.
All right, well, second Realm of Yang time. T225 is going to be facing off against PXT. I think PXT is in a must-win position here. Cannot afford to be putting the Yang depletion coming out of this one. But T225 is going to try to just win this one quick. Activating Scale Rush, finding good contact here, but the solid knockback response here from PXT is buying them a little bit of rest, but both of them still about even in regards to their health. And currently it's PXT cross the ground floor, looking for a new angle forward. T225 is just going to absolutely suffocate their opponent here, and now off the juggle. PXT has one more shot at life. There's a dodge back tech chase. PXT trying to heal back up here, using the ball. And now T225 is going to be frozen in response. Here comes the approach. PXT manages to hold center stage here. That utilization of ultimate was almost enough to bring this back to even, but T225 has also healed themselves. Second ball fired off. This one could be enough. PXT going to send T225 sprawling. T225 back up to their feet. Doesn't get TOD'd here, but now in a desperate situation. And here comes the reversal. I was not expecting this whatsoever, but now T225 is in so much trouble. 1v1, trying to find enough space by which to maybe pull out that range challenge again, but I don't think they're going to be given the opportunity. It's a one-touch situation, and it's going to be one that PXT somehow recovers from and wins.
Oh, he perfect frames so many of the nunchuck hits coming on through and attempting to chase him down when he looks at that disengage. But unfortunately, so much time goes past that PXT is able to come back into another combo breaker. T225 wasn't able to find the TOD. PXT still had the ultimate activation of the Liam V2 to go into gold frame focus and then immediately grab the ball up onto the Justina And unfortunately, 2v5 with those 2 dashes was not able to find the elimination that he immediately was looking for. The F2 is going to avoid the uppercut prior, but now he doesn't have it to keep his weapon in play or avoid the follow-up damage from the parry. Out comes the grapple kick into the charged R&B. There's the ultimate coming into the mix, but Star is going to be able to dodge out of one of those freezes with the activation of the Sheol V1. And 2v5 now knows that the advantage that he had, that potential opening, has since melted and goes on a full kite path, looking to create enough distance, potentially end the ultimate early to conserve some of that rage, but guy himself a little bit of distance to get some of this purple armor healed back up, because Star still has the Cheryl V1 in play. And even if the fight begins once more with the ultimates out and neutral back in, we can see players on the horizon, and the third party potential is looming.
Yep, T225 in-game depletion. Probably can't find the answer here. Star, with just too much health, is going to give up a little bit of their armor on the trade. Here's the knockaway. Star once again on the tech chase, tries to find something. T225 zipline finds the combo. Unbelievable stuff.
Oh, but no! Spider saw the fight. And into the zone, T25 has to go. He picked up the soul bloom, but I don't think it's going to be enough to preserve himself in this lobby, because Spider, yeah, there it is. He gets that last little bit of damage. Make sure that he keeps up that damage too. The White Tiger's Paras is going to pop off, signaling that Spider found that elimination that he was looking for. And unfortunately, even though T25 found the crazy clutch turnaround with the spear swap up, he is not rewarded. This is how Spider was able to win his realm of Yang, or potentially lose it. Goes for that Cheryl. Later ultimate activation, gets caught out by the headlock. Baits around with the potential heal situation before turning and utilizing a headlock of his own, swapping on over to the pistols. He spaces on out, puts himself on top of the pillar to obscure when he throws out that counter block, which means that Star is going to get caught out by a second one. Start with the drop down charged R&B on this halberd. Spider gets the perfect dodge framing through it, utilizes the grapple, puts himself onto the pillar, skirmishes it up, drops down into charged R&B from the Hong Sword, and sends out the focus strike to find the win. What a turnaround play for Spider.
Yeah, Spider with 2 good back-to-backs right now, looking like they're in very good position. Not a hint of that kind of emotionality that may have dropped them game number 5. Now they're one of the top competitors here to end out this series with a bang.
We've got 6 players left in this lobby. I have a horrible feeling that it's not going to go all the way to end zone. We're probably going to see this close out before that last Spirit Well properly spawns on up. That being said, though, I think a lot of our players who did have Yang depletion have been removed from the lobby, so the urgency to fight has somewhat ebbed. Spirit Well is now going to be spawning on up, as is Moonbane. And once again, Moonbane is directly over where Spirit Well is going to be. And that is going to be a little bit of a curveball thrown into a lot of these players' posturing positions that they wanted to take previously.
Yeah, it seems like it's 2 sets of players who are just kind of splitting from one another, and so there is a chance that we do still get to a position where the Shadow has to close in before we see anyone really pull the trigger. When you're looking at the current scoreboard, Spider's just well ahead of everybody else in regards to resources. 1 kill to the 5 kills up there at the top with Wufang and PXT. Frostivus is once again in a position where they're just playing way too passively. Down at 0 kills still, their burden was to really just pop off and completely destroy this lobby. They and Shaw have both been denied that opportunity. XY is there, trailing Spider by 3 kills in 2. So with that in mind here, I think that what we need to see is either Shaw or Frostivus play up to their burdens and try to force a fight here and now. I don't think they can let someone like Spider bully people off of the final Spirit Well and give them the opportunity to just take that away.
Yeah, Frostivus can definitely play havoc with the third-party potential off of Tammy Wisps, but he cannot afford to utilize his ultimate, because we saw in the past, right, when a Tammy did burn his ultimate, everybody after the V3 had passed all in against him. Spider's going to be showcasing that Assassin's Lunge attached to the purple dagger, and the threat off of that likely going to buy himself a lot of spacing, as well as the fact that he invested that Cheryl V1 incredibly early on so that no one could contest him, all lest they face that tortoiseshell block counter coming through. And you said that you didn't want to see Spider get the opportunity to bully the lobby, but I don't know, I think it's a little bit of a shakedown, and Spider is looking for all of the lunch money.
Absolutely. PXT, not a whole lot of life left in this player from the Wolves, is going to try to just round the corner, actually delves deep into the storm here, just by a little bit of space for jumping back in. Luckily, the fight has shifted away from their position, so they may get another lease on life.
Oh, Spider hurt the heel, I think. But yeah, Spider hurt the heel. There he goes, and the chase begins anew. We do get the wild wind spout coming off the legendary soldier for that fan, but Spider just has a couple more hits with this pistol, and he'll be able to confirm this elimination. He does have to be careful that he doesn't overcommit, though. Everyone spotted that PXT is low, that he's down the ultimate. He's now going to be down combo breaker. He's got to try and just slip in and out of that zone. Can't stay in too long, though, because the heal cut reduction has already hit onto him. Kites over towards the door front. Scale rushes out. Moonbane smiles favorably on PXT, but he's still not out of danger just yet. Into the Moonbane AoE. He has to risk it for the biscuit, and the Hail Veil is going to keep himself out of one of them, but it's a Hail Mary hit of the Hong Sword that claims Spider's elimination onto PXT, and he gets to find all of the resources he was looking for, and his 6th elimination in the lobby. But White Tiger's prowess is still popping off for another 80 seconds yet.
Well, Moxie, and now there were 4. Spider is in such a dominant position here. Like you said, White Tiger's prowess is still very much available for them. Beyond that, they're now up to 6 kills on the docket. Frostivus going to try their luck, just trying to take high ground right next to Spider. Going to be chased off by the combination of them and an XY. Now, maybe in a little bit of a scramble situation, as XY is going to have to deal with Spider on the back end of this one, allowing for Frostivus to slink away. Still at 0 kills, mind you. XY in a lot of trouble, as now Wufong is going to spell blood in the water, realizing that they're going to need to find the elimination here if they want any chance to answer back up against what Spider is doing. While this is happening, it's Frostivus all the way on the far side of the circle. XY unable to survive. It's Spider claiming another one. Now it's down to 3.
That was Vajra's grip invested. We did see Spider get caught up in the soldier animation to withhold his weapon when he got parried. We also know one of the legendary soldiers he's currently holding on to is Aurora Burst, so sizable AoE, but more important is the silence effect that occurs from it. But he can parry it when the white flash comes through from their character. Wufong taking a lot of damage. We've got Twin Shot Bounce Shell on the cannon, an unusual soldier. To be sure, we do not see it as often as Rupture Gale Flame. Oh, Spider utilizes that F1, and he's just so far out of this fight. He is uncaring in the world right now, just looking to see whether he can chip some of this shields down, keep that fight, keep that pressure going onto all of these players. Is that a Phoenix Blast as well attached to that longsword? We'll have to wait and see, as it is now going to be him continuing. Yeah, there it is. There's the turnaround animation. Phoenix Blast on the field. 2 legendary melee weapon soldiers, and off of the back of that, Spider is going to be able to utilize those longsword tracking shots so much more effectively, putting the pressure up onto Wufong, making sure to chase him away from the body so that he can't find any resources left behind to better set him up for this next engagement. Because remember, 3 players are left in this lobby. It becomes a matter of resilience. Wufong down. That combo breaker is going to be a target. He's utilizing that ultimate, trying to all in, turn the attention onto this Temmie in the hopes that Spider goes for the bigger threat. And now with the Tumultuous ultimate invested, Spider has Phoenix Blast, and that gets to go through the wind wall, and we go down to a 1v1.
Wufong doing their best to try to suss out where Spider is. Spider, though, trying to initiate with a scale rush. Wufong looking for a parry. Can't quite find it. Needs to probably disarm if they want any chance versus Spider at close range. Good stagger. Going to get a lot of damage off of SR's representative here. Wufong on the tech chase now. Actually just going to be able to pummel through the entirety of the armor. Spider going to have to fire off their abilities, but they're on such a sliver. One more touch can do it. Wufong going to be knocked down, though, and now we could see the turnaround. 3 charges available. Spider going to be able to get the first grip down. Wufong in a lot of trouble now. Spider bringing out the shield, trying to trade, and we see Wufong take to this guy to try to answer back. Here's the hook shot as the response, as Wufong is trying to play the zoning game. Has the cannon. Spider a 1-touch. Here comes the bounce shell. Will it be enough? Wufong going to be aggressed upon one more time as Spider brings out the shield. Both and desperate balances of life as Spider snipes to get the victory.
The fade away to disguise what charge and whether the ultimate was still active on the V1, and then the turnaround to be able to catch the counter shield, get that guaranteed chokehold, and then come on through with the Phoenix Blast because he understands that the Lani is going to panic and try and put themselves up into the air. And